hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
A quick note for the listeners, or matter of fact, the viewers more so than the listeners. I got a new setup, right? So I'm trying to figure my lights out, right? So the last 2 episodes, my lights were probably crazy dark. Most likely I fixed them in post. Like at this point right now, at the point of recording, I haven't fixed them in post yet. So hopefully by the time y'all watch it, they were fixed in post. And then hopefully these are good. Who knows, right? But we'll figure that part out. Another part, we are joined by a guest, and we're going to get to that in a second. The other part is Tisha. I just ran my PRT. It's real late in the year, you know what I mean? But I got it done, man. It's real
you
close
had to get
to
it
the
done
cutoff.
before Thanksgiving.
Close to the cutoff, man. I don't even
Hold
know.
on, what's the new cutoff? Because you remember when I was
in November.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know like how Thanksgiving is going to be for me this year, though.
Okay.
I just got invited to like a Thanksgiving lunch. What the housing at my base, like the people that run the barracks, they invited me to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and ate with them today, and I'm like, that kind of messed me up. You know what I mean? So I think I ran the PRT first, then I went to go eat with them. Then I had a big dinner from Tropical Smoothie. I felt crazy. You know what I mean? Like
what?
I did a walk on the wild side. I had a smoothie and a fruit bowl. You know what I mean? Because I've been eating healthy. So I've been eating healthy. So I don't know what Thanksgiving looked like this year, to be honest with you. But I did pass my PRT, and I'm happy about
congratulations.
that. I did good on the run. I did the run, man. I did the treadmill, but I did the run.
So you got a good overall?
I probably ain't do no good on the run. I probably did better than good on the run, T.
Oh, okay.
I ain't gonna talk about the other stuff. Ain't no reason to talk about the other stuff. You just gotta pass. You know what I'm saying? Next time, we know this is my transitional year. You know what I mean? Next year. And it's funny because they was running the numbers down to me, and the numbers I'm 37. The numbers are not like impressive. Like you gotta do 33 push-ups, right?
Yeah.
You gotta do your plank for like a minute and a half, right? And I'm like, man, it was a time. And then it was like the maximum for me is like 65 push-ups. It was a time when I would laugh at 65. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, man, let me hit 40, like strong 40 too, all 90. Like I'm breaking 90, all 40.
Like and then I ran a PRT.
I ran the PRT by myself. What you said? What I said? You got me thinking about. I ran the PRT by myself, right? So it ain't no,
Before I got one more thing.
This one.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pill at night. I gave you everything I had.
Yeah,
you did.
I gave you everything I had.
That's what I did. So, when you're doing it with the ACFLs and you the command senior chief, they want to look at you. They want to look at you. They want to make sure you got integrity. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I said, let me do this all the right way. And you know what else I found out? And I swear we about to get to our guest. You know what else I found out?
What?
I'm in one of my spaces and I'm talking to the sellers. And one of my sellers like, yo, senior, we talk about me about to do the PRT. He like, yo, I do the bike. We talk about different cardio. He's like, I do the bike. I put that Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares on and I do the bike. I'm like, yo, I put that Meek Mill on and somebody else was another seller, all different race, colors, and creeds. They was like, I put Dreams and Nightmares on to do the plank. I'm like, I do too. That's how I do my plank. And I'm like, where he get the whole up? Wait a minute. I know what he was like. Good. I was like, yeah, we know he good. That's how we get that plank done. So Meek, you done gave the official PRT, the official PRT music, Meek. So congrats, Meek.
There we go.
I know he also just dissed Diddy recently, but we this ain't a hip hop pod, right? So we are joined today, this episode, hopefully, it's going to be a fun episode. We're going to have a lot of fun, just talk about a lot of stuff. I got no script for the listeners. It's going to be all pretty much a natural conversation. We are joined by Lieutenant Commander Frank Bonner. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you for welcoming me to the podcast. Hey, before we get too far, I just want to add something. If you had me planking to Meek Mill, I'm gonna feel a little insecure. I just want to put that. I'm gonna be properly motivated to do whatever I need to do to get out of that position. So that's 3 minutes, 15 seconds for me. I'm gonna be good, and I'm out there. That's an outstanding on a PRT. dreams and nightmares. So I just want to put that out.
Oh, you don't mess with Meek like that?
Man, I love me some Meek Mills, man, but the allegations that was going around there, they just a little scary, man. So I'm motivated to just get out of any vulnerable positions if it's a Meek Mills track.
Playing?
Yeah, if it's Meek's playing, we gotta change. We gotta protect ourselves.
What's your song of choice?
Me, I like that. Man, I'm still on Kendrick Lamar, man. All Right is a good one for me. We gonna be all right. You know, if you hit that bike and you hit those pedals, you know what I'm saying, to every one of those beats, you know, you do that for the better part of 12 minutes, you're gonna be all right. Yeah. You're gonna be all right. Yeah. Your credit score might drop like 2 points, but you're gonna be all right by the end of that.
So you do the bike?
PRT. I like the bike, yeah.
What do you have to do on a bike? That's my only, so I did the bike one time.
Burn calories, man. You got to burn calories, man. Yeah. You get on the bike, they give you 12 minutes. You got to burn like 110 calories in 12 minutes or something like that. It's easy to pass. Yeah. It's hard to do well. It's hard to do an outstanding on the bike.
I've seen people in great shape, fail the bike just because they never did it before. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm always I know the treadmill, so I jumped on the treadmill. I hit 7. I went from 7 to 7.9. I was about to lie and say 8. I was about to act like I gave 8. I went from 7 to 7.9, and then I knew that it was an easy day. I was at a mile by 8 minutes. So then I just took it down to 6 and just kind of coasted, my way, through it. But I don't know the bike. I feel like if I get on a bike, I don't know what to do. It's mad different bikes in the book, the 570i, the Integrity. It's what bike is this? I feel like, yo, what fucking bike? What bike is this, man? Yo, honestly, the amount of bikes in the book is the reason why I don't do the bike for the PRT.
Right, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. You gotta walk around with the book and the bike like you like Nathan Drake, you from Uncharted. All right. So, Lieutenant Commander Bonner, is that do you want us to call you Lieutenant Commander Bonner?
Honestly, because that's a long title. Can we just go with my call sign? Can we just go by Siri? Is that cool?
Siri.
Siri works. Yeah. Just Siri, and we'll call it good for today. And that'll feel real good for me.
Now Siri just answered me.
Hey, that's unfortunate. Just get your phone ready. You might want to turn that feature off, bruh.
Yeah, I don't even know if I know how to. So where does that predate? I guess I shouldn't say the word, huh? The name that should never be named.
The device, does that predate the device?
Yeah. Does that predate that?
No. That's a military call sign. I'm a naval flight officer by trade. I fly the E-2 Hawkeye. And so every military aviator gets a call sign, man. Nobody gets a call sign for anything good. So I don't care for those people that are out there watching, looking at Top Gun, believing that, hey, you're going to get Maverick or Iceman. That ain't happening unless you do something stupid in the cold, right? So, everybody gets a call sign for doing something stupid. I'm prior enlisted. So I like to confirm I understand what somebody's talking about before I take action. So I'll ask the question 2 or 3 times. People said it happens so much, it was like working with a broken iPhone. So I got the call sign Siri, amongst other things. Yeah,
I feel the same way about Siri. So I fucking hate Siri.
Hey, this should be a comfortable conversation in that case.
Yeah. And so you say you prior enlisted. Let's start with where are you from?
Los Angeles, California, South Central L.A.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So that
all right. No wonder you talking about the Lamar Kendrick.
Kendrick. You gotta represent the home team.
Why you do last name first on K-Dot like that, Tish?
Did I? Kendrick Lamar. I did do Lamar.
Why you do him like that?
You said it like you was filling out a DD form. Like you had like he was giving him a page 13 or something. Like you was like Lamar Kendrick. Like that's why you doing
that. That is how I don't know why I did that.
So South Central L.A.
Yep.
Now, in South Central L.A. now, do you know that in 15 years or 18 years or whatever like that, I'm going to the Navy?
Oh, man. So 17 years old, I'm talking to a recruiter. Do I know I'm going into the Navy? Not the first time. I remember the recruiter walking across the campus. Dude was in white. He was like the cleanest dude. And I went to Garfield High School in East LA, right? So for those of you that are not familiar with East LA, that's a predominantly Hispanic area, right? And so you have me at East LA. I'm like one of 5 black dudes on campus. So a dude rocking a uniform that everybody's paying attention to is taken away from my shine. That's exactly, I just thought that I should be the celebrity at lunchtime, not this recruiter dude. So I rolled up, talked to him. He was like a really chill guy, talked to me a little bit, was like, hey man, these are the opportunities. I was feeling it. And then just like most other people, I had a girlfriend at the time and I was just like, nah, I'm not feeling the Navy. I'm gonna stay with her. And, eventually like life kind of hit me in weird ways. And that pushed me to kind of double back to that recruiter and then join. And I really had no vision for what that looked like or idea of where I was going. I just knew it wasn't in L.A. I wasn't going to be broke. I wasn't going to be in the hood no more. And I had an opportunity to learn some skills that I could probably benefit from in the future. And that's about all the plan consisted of.
Yeah, so this was a game time decision, pretty much.
Yep.
You wasn't like 5 years old watching Top Gun.
Nah, not at all. Nah, no way, shape, or form, man. Not in no way, shape, or form. In fact, that's crazy because if you touch the flight school thing, like most people that you when you're an aviator in the Navy, you talk to these guys and they're like, my dad was an aviator, or I always wanted to fly planes, or ever since I didn't know that I wanted to be an aviator until I filled out that Stay 21 package. I was like, yeah, this looks cool. Let's bubble that in, and we're gonna work from there.
Yeah, it's crazy because before we started, I was talking about like for our listeners. Here's a qualifier. I was talking about like not blacking us out because we talked about some black stuff the last couple pods. But I got a question. Is it a lot of black aviators?
Ask that question differently. Give me a range. Because you asked the question, you already know the answer to that question. But give me a range. Give me a lot of black aviators where, like in Virginia, like ever period. Like give me that range. Throughout the
Navy, throughout the world.
I would say there are not as many minority aviators as there are majority aviators across the Navy. But It does feel like there's quite a few, only because when it's the nod. You know what I mean? Like when you're a African-American aviator and you see another one, you give a nod. They know what you went through. They know that, hey, there weren't any shortcuts. There's no way to DEI your way out of flight school. You just gotta figure it out and get through it. So you get the nod. And then usually a network forms, man. You'll stay in contact with a lot of dudes just for the sake of, being able to bounce off some ideas off of other people for various reasons. So it feels like a lot, but if you pulled out a stat, it'd be probably
the numbers would be kind of low. It's just a strong kind of, I guess, like bond,
tight knit group.
Tight-knit. Yeah, I never met like a dude that like wanted to be an aviator. You know what I mean? Like, like I never met somebody. Normally, I guess it's like a part of like being in the officer world. You know what I mean? Like I never met an enlisted like, hey, I'm gonna go officer and I'm gonna become an aviator. Normally, it's like, hey, when I go officer, I'm gonna be the STO or I'm gonna be the EMO or something that's related to like what we doing now. So that's the reason I asked more than anything. I
started that way. If I'm being honest with you, like I was a fire controlman before, and then I wanted to do something in the weapons category. But the thing that blocked me away from that was that you have to be an LDO to go into that program. So I had a mentor. He was a naval flight officer, and he said, "What is the highest thing that you think you could achieve?" And I was like, "This." But I was going to apply for like SWO or something else in my mind. And that's not to knock the SWOs, but in my mind, I just felt like there's a lot more opportunity for SWOs. I've actually seen diverse SWOs. So I'm going to apply for that because I'm going to have a good shot at getting picked up for it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he kind of put it in me. And if any sailors watching this that I've ever mentored before, I say the same thing to them. He was like, you're telling yourself, no, you can't do that. Make the Navy tell you no. If that's what you want, apply for it and give yourself, make it undeniable that you should get picked up for it. And I did. I didn't believe I would ever get picked up for it. I had a chip on my shoulder a little bit at the time, but I got picked up and, obviously that was, shut down that thought process. So I'm here.
Yeah. All right, let's go back for a little bit. So what year did you join?
1997, August 5th.
97. What's that? Harlem World? That's Harlem World.
Yeah. Mace's kind of doing his thing when Harlem I'm in Great Lakes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right before DMX.
Yeah.
Right before DMX, Harlem World, right? So you got siblings?
I do. That's a weird story in and of itself. But at this time, yes, I have an older brother.
Okay. Who were you before you joined?
Oh, man, I was confused, man. I was a confused 17-year-old, man. Before I joined, who was I? I loved football. I loved being, I loved drama. I think I did like drama my senior year. I stopped playing football my senior year of high school and then went and did drama full time. I loved music. Mm-hmm. I was girl crazy at that point in time. And early on in my high school time, that's when I find out the life change that we talked about earlier. That's when I find out I'm having my first kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like 17 years old, like, hey, I need to figure this thing out of, how to fend for this child.
Yeah. So in the 90s, I think what I knew about South Central L.A. came from movies, right? And it's like people from out of the country. Like we had somebody on our podcast a while ago from out of the country. Shout out to Amari. And he was talking about what he knew about. I said I wasn't going to black us out. He was talking about what he knew about black people, right? And he was saying it was based off of like pop culture, like what he knew about pop culture. So he was afraid of black people initially when he came, right? That's kind of what he talked about. So only thing I ever, and I wonder if Tisha ever saw anything different, but the only thing I ever knew about South Central L.A. was, and I'm gonna use an old term, right? I don't say this, y'all. I'm not Smokey Robinson. Was gangbanging, right? That's all I knew about. Gangbanging. But it was gangbanging. It was a bunch. You know, the movie South Central, Menace. Everything we knew was gangbanging, a lifestyle. You know, we had like Tupac, heavy music, all of that death row stuff. So what's some misconceptions that people had about South Central, like growing up in South Central LA in the late 90s? Or were there no misconceptions?
Nah, yeah. Sadly, when you think about Boys in the Hood, that was my elementary to junior high school experience. That's when that movie came out, and it was very relevant for the time. And then you think about my high school time frame, that's Menace to Society. And that was kind of my experience a little bit in some ways. I hate to say that, like on a podcast, but it's true. Misconceptions. A lot of people thought about like Hollywood, and they were like, man, I'm gonna go to Hollywood and be a star. I'm gonna go, to LA and it's gonna be a good look. But like Hollywood at that time was the hood, man. It wasn't a great place to be. Like it was an idea more so than it was a place. Big misconception is that LA, is all sunshine and beaches, and while they exist and that's there, that's not, every city's got they little pockets, they little dark pockets and stuff like that. Biggest misconceptions, man, if I'm gonna call it, I had a childhood, and at the time I thought my childhood was fine. You know what I'm saying? Despite those movies coming out, I didn't feel like I grew up in such a horrible place. It's not until you get out of it and you see other places and you get away from it that you're like, dang, how did I survive that? Because it's just normal while you're in it. But misconceptions is just kind of, people thought a lot of times LA is what I see on TV is what I want to go to. So you get to your first duty station and guys are like, man, take me back to LA with you. And you're like, I don't really think you want to go back to
nah.
I remember we went to the yards, man. We went to the shipyard up here. They like pull parts. Remember back when people used to go to the shipyard in Philly, Navy Yard in Philly, to like grab parts from like old ships. I remember we went and they like, yo, let's go to your crib, your block. I'm like, my block ain't the type of block that you want to go visit. You know what I mean? They like, oh, we gonna take the van, we drop you off, man. Don't worry about it, man. When we got to like, it's a certain like bridge that we went under. And when they look, it was like just, when Wakanda, when the clouds pass and then you see Wakanda, that's what happened. But it was opposite. Like we got past the bridge and they saw my neighborhood. You heard the doors start clicking. I'm like, yo, we gonna have to unlock something for me to get out. You know what I mean? I was going to, my mom crib. So I say that to say that growing up in a place like that, being introduced to a place like the Navy, for me, like the structure wasn't like a challenge, right? Having the structure wasn't a challenge. What was a challenge for me was like honestly, it was like to like take a joke, you know what I mean, and be able to like say jokes, because in Philly jokes are like harsh, right? Like people used to say stuff like, yo, that's why your mom a crackhead, you know what I mean? And it's not like a joke, because the person mom is really on drugs, you know what I mean? Like, and they
did we grow up in the same neighborhood? Is that about, that sounds familiar.
It was a kid, with, and it's all just for like, it was a kid with his like, he had like 70 or 40 to 70% of his body burnt. Growing up in high school, and kids used to like, that was a joke. Like, I'm not going to take it any further because I don't want to say it on the pod, like some of the stuff, but it was jokes. Like I saw him get jumped. Like for a kid, like me being 37 years old now, like knowing that this kid got jumped before by like 14 people already with like 40 to 70% of his body, but like, why are y'all jumping that kid? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was harsh like that. So, being new to the Navy, it was me trying to figure out like, oh man, this person is joking, this person is kidding. like I need to develop some kind of sense of humor because I'm always super serious, and I'm still growing in that area. Like I don't play with everybody, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm like super tough or nothing, but I just don't play with everybody. Did you have any challenges like developing to that Navy kind of lifestyle coming from a place like South Central L.A. where if it was anything like me, you had to watch your back just going to school?
So don't let this camera shot fool you, bro. I'm 5'6", man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not the toughest dude. I'm not the biggest guy, man. The thing, when you think about what I did back home, the thing that I was known for was just bagging. I had jokes like nobody's business. I could snap on somebody in a heartbeat. And honestly, I could make people cry. And it wasn't until I just told too many jokes that I had to learn how to fight. You know what I mean? I had to learn how to be able to back that up. So I will never try to play like I was the biggest, baddest person, but I will offer that that was my my mask was to use humor for everything. And so getting into the Navy, and this is something kind of, I think I was listening to one of your podcasts, Grumpy Old Men is the one I was just listening to just recently. And I think it's kind of affecting today, right? Like, so you have these bad habits that you have before you join the military, but then everybody's like, I'm gonna join the military because I really want to change my life. I want my life to go a different direction, right? Then you get through the indoctrination process, boot camp, A school, all that stuff, and you get to your first command. And what do? You spend your time trying to show everybody that your city's the hardest, or your neighborhood was the roughest, or XYZ. And so you try to fall into these old habits that are in the exact opposite of what you're trying to do from jump. You know, and it took some mentors to really sit me down and like remind me, hey, you came into the Navy to change your life. If you wanted to stay the same, you would still be in South Central Los Angeles. So why don't, instead of acting like who you used to be, start acting like who you want to be? Because I had those mentors and kind of get me on the straight and narrow. They were pointing out opportunities that I previously didn't see. So I didn't have the issue with trying to be a big badass for very long. I did have the issue with my sense of humor. That got me into a lot of trouble. Yeah. You know, because I couldn't let that sense of humor go. And, you know.
Yeah. So you were in during September 11th, right?
September 11th. Yep. That was the back end of my first deployment.
Yeah. Now, how was that for you? What was the experience there?
Terrifying, man. Being honest, I joined the Navy for opportunity. Maybe a lot of kids today join for opportunity. I didn't really think too much about, hey, the real possibility of going to war. I had just come back from deployment, and I'm at my grandmother's house because I didn't have the best relationship with my aunt and uncle who raised me. And so my uncle, who's not like the nicest human on the face of the planet, he like calls me, and it's like early in the morning. He goes, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. But man, I just want to let you know I love you, and I hope you're going to be okay, man. And you know, just come back safely. And I'm like, what is he talking about? I just came back from a deployment like a week ago. He's like, you ain't seen the news? And then we turn on the news, and then that's right about the time that second tower gets hit, because there's a lot of speculation and stuff. And he's like, y'all going to war. All right, have a good day. Click. Which is pretty much that kind of conversation. Yeah,
I think everybody got that uncle.
Yeah. So that was what it was like. And, you know, we ended up recalling everybody back to the boat. My leave got canceled at that point. We zorched back to the boat. I think we prematurely got underway for a little bit and then didn't do anything, came back in, and it was somebody else's responsibility to head back out. Yeah.
How were those early enlisted days for you?
Man, they were so much fun, man. I can't even make it up. It was so much fun. It's because you got people from so many different places. I fell in with a good group of people when I was in A school, right? I fell in with the perfect group. I fell in with a group of dudes who knew how to have fun. They were habitual line steppers, but it was enough to not get in trouble, if that makes sense. But just have like clean fun. That was what that A school time was like. When you said Mace and Harlem World, that was literally what that little group we used to call ourselves, Harlem World or whatever. Just listen to all that Mace music. So it was dope. Get into my first ship was the Rushmore. Get into the Rushmore. And then my skipper at the time was Commander Howard, who is Vice Admiral Howard. Who,
I was about to say.
You know, yeah, she was my skipper. I just saw her like not too long ago, and we laughed about the behavior I had on that ship. But it was
the fact
just awesome,
that she remembers you.
I was, yeah, man. Yeah.
That says a lot that she remembers you from that far back and such a different generation.
Says a lot about
We worked
her,
a
too.
lot together.
Yeah.
We worked a lot together because when you're a gunner's mate on an amphib, they do what is it? The mag temps. And then at least the way we did it on the ship is every day it had to be signed off by the skipper.
Yep.
And mostly everybody in my division was terrified of Commander Howard at the time. So I always got the task of walking to Mag Sprinks and answering her questions. You know what I'm saying? Which, really her questions, after you get them a couple times, you start to go, she's really like, hey, just solve this problem before you bring this problem to me. And nobody really understood that,
Yeah.
So a lot of times I get the Mag Sprinks, I'd look at it, I'd read it. She's going to ask me about this, this, and this. I'd go do something about it, come back, take her Mag Sprinks. When she asked me the question, what are you doing about this? And these are the precautions that we took into play. It was a good experience. My first few years on a boat, fire. Enlisted years, fun.
Yeah. FSA?
Fun.
You did FSA, right? You was at FSA?
Oh, remember I told you about that behavior?
Yeah. That's why I asked, because that's where you get it off at. I asked. Yeah, that's how I already knew.
I got into a disagreement with one of my leadership individuals, and I was sent to be mess decks master of arms for my last period of time on that command. Yeah, they were like, mess decks master of arms, go down there and figure it out. And the CSs what were they call it? MSs at the time. They were so excited I was coming to the mess decks. Like we was turning up down there, having a good time. We was getting breakouts done. It was running efficiently. Yeah. Like the first classes loved me. It was dope. Skipper was still shouting me out. People were like, we sent him down there for a punishment. And it's like, he's being effective.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun when it's fun, man. Like working with the CSs, man. That's some of the most fun I had in the Navy, man. From shenanigans to like to the work part, right? It's super fun when it's fun, man. So what was next? What tour was next for you?
After I did that, I went to recruiting. I went to recruiting as a second class petty officer, man. Went to recruiting NRD San Francisco, that area. Not very pro-military. They put me in Roseville, California, which is like Sacramento area. Still not the most pro-military people. Yeah. And then I get Roseville. If you were to take a snapshot of Roseville, Roseville is, again, not a very diverse place to go. But it was some of the most fun I had, man. Just getting out there and just seeing how other people lived. You had everything from like rural kids to I had a school called Granite Bay High School. I don't want to offend the listeners or anything, but I got to tell this truth. Granite Bay High School, man, them kids was balling out at Granite Bay, man. You go to the parking lot. I remember my first day going to high school. It was like Beamers and Lamborghinis and like it was like one Lamborghini. It wasn't Lamborghinis, but it was like Beamers, Mercedes. It was like nice cars in the parking lot. I was like, man, they pay these teachers a lot. And the dude that was showing me around was like, this is the student parking lot. Damn. What?
Yeah.
You like, I ain't getting none of these.
Yeah, I ain't getting none of these kids, man. None of these kids joined the Navy.
Damn.
But then you had to learn that they were looking for something different. Like you can't go and say, hey, here's opportunity. You had to go to these, paying for college and all the stuff you learn in recruiting school that's really simple. You have some people that are trying to be their own identity. You have some people that are trying to find independence. You have people who are trying to prove that they deserve their family name. And you really got to learn to listen to people, understand what their needs are, and only communicate to them addressing their needs. And when you're dealing with a person who literally has 80% of everything they need, and really they just need a mentor to walk them down a path to get them where they need to be, you got to learn to give people hard truths. Like, you can't go to a place like Granite Bay and dad's a lawyer and a big lawyer in the area, and your recruiter just telling a whole bunch of falsehoods. You're gonna dad's gonna run up on you, So it taught me a lot about people. That whole tour was so much fun, man.
Yeah, it is like 02, right?
Started in 01. Yep, and then I run from 02, 01, somewhere in there until 2006. In recruiting, and then that's when I get picked up for State 21. So I'm a chief petty officer by 2006, and chief with a commission at this point in time, heading off to State 21.
So Tish, 02 is like, that's Nelly. That's Nelly, right?
That's Nelly.
So 97 was Mace. 02 is like Nelly. Hot in hair, that's hot in hair. That's Dilemma. That's what's popping, in that time, right? So Hot in Hair was amazing.
Oh, hold up. No, you don't forget. You still had around that same time frame, 50 Cent. Had just dropped
coming out.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Yeah, that dropped February 6, 2003. Get Rich or Die Trying came out. So Wankster came out. And
hold up, you got the music. What was the cell phones looking like at that point in time?
Crazy work, man. Crazy work.
Man, we had polyphonic ringtones.
Netflix.
We had polyphonic ringtones. You have the sidekick. The sidekick was the joint.
But Nextel, the chirp was the hood. Chirp was in the streets. Chirp was what you.
That's what we had. That's recruiters. We all had the Nextel. But I was on the. What's the joint? Not the Nokia. I was on the Nokia joint, 3160 or something like that. Had the polyphonic ringtones, could take pictures.
Yeah, I remember like ringtones. No man,
it's like 2-bit pictures. You couldn't recognize it after you took it, but.
Yeah, that was a crazy time, man. I think the sidekick was big. The sidekick was a big one. That Blackberry chirp, anything Blackberry, not Blackberry, anything Nextel was big. And then Blackberry, because Blackberry had the messages, the BBM.
Mm-hmm. Yep, BBM.
So that was, man, that was
scroll ball, with the little scroll ball on it.
The side scroll,
That was the official government phone.
Blackberry was around for a little too long. Remember, it was like, it's time to get rid of these things, man. Ain't nobody want to get rid of the BBM. You got to hit the dot like mad times to get the message out. Yeah, so those.
Man, that BBM times. Was like the first Facebook, like the first Twitter.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So then you hit. So you said anything noteworthy from that recruiting tour at all?
Going as a second, leaving as a chief, that was pretty big deal.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of.
Yeah, so you did good recruiting? I guess.
I was nationally ranked, so I did pretty good. Like I think I looked at one of my evals, and I was like the number 4 recruiter in first class when I rolled out of there for my first class eval. I don't know how I placed as chief, but I was a pretty young chief, so I'm assuming I was somewhere at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to make chief?
8 years. So I came in 97. I pinned in 2006 August. Mm-hmm. So 8 years and some change. 8 years 11 months, something like that.
Yeah. And that's pretty, yeah. So two commands, pretty much, right? 2 commands, then chief. Yeah, pretty good. So now, how long? Now, what's that like? What's going into this chief thing like?
Man, it was honestly what's funny is I remember before I was doing a chief thing. Y'all talk a lot about putting packages together on this podcast and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was real paranoid. I was like the guy who was like, hey, I just want to put my package together. Somebody help me out. And everybody was just like, man, it's your first time going up for chief. There's no way you're going to make chief, man. Why are you even putting a package in? And there was a part of me that was like, maybe I shouldn't put a package in. And then I went home. And this is the thing about having a strong wife on your side. I was like, I'm not going to put a package in because I ain't going to make it. There's no chance. And she was like, look, son, if you don't put it in, the answer's automatically no. So you telling me you automatically know. You're telling me no right now that you don't want to do this. And I didn't have a smart answer. So I was like, I just reattacked it the next day and just kept trying to put my package in. And people weren't trying to help me. So I just would go up to people and, like look at other people's packages. And then finally one chief was like, man, you're just going to be persistent. Just let me look at your stuff and get it right. And I ended up putting it in. And so I had a bunch of people that were like, again, there's no way you're going to make it on your first time up. I just want to prepare you and set expectations. Man, when that message came out and I found out I made chief, man, everybody was like, I knew you had it. I knew you was going to get it. You're the guy. Come on, man. Like everybody was on team. Everybody was on TV at that point in time.
Yeah. But
I learned.
That's how they do. That's
that's exactly how it is.
I never doubted you. You had it the whole time.
Yeah.
But I learned something though. I learned something that was really notable. It's like, you got to believe something before somebody else does, and just because everyone around you doesn't believe it. I'll tell people, if you're a visionary, then the burden's on you to, show people your vision. And that means you're going to walk across a bunch of doubters. Some people aren't going to believe that you can accomplish this thing that's only in your head. The burden is on you to prove it by bringing it into reality. So in recruiting, that's really what I learned. I learned that, going to an area where the median income is well above $150,000 for the homes, which is a lot of money compared to somebody from South Central Los Angeles. People have both their parents in their house. I don't have either parent in the house. I can't even relate to these guys. Do I give up or do I sit and listen? Do I sit and learn? Do I sit and grow? Do I read books? Do I figure out how to be a better salesperson? And then you learn little techniques about how you're going to get better. And I learned in that tour, most notably, that life is always ready to teach you something if you open up your ears, open up your eyes, and you're prepared to learn. That's the most notable thing, man. That's by far.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like 100%, man. These lessons, they don't stop. Like they come.
I know.
The older you get, and they might hit a little harder. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
You know it's happening. Like you feel it. You know what I mean?
Like I swear, sometimes my life be in hard mode.
Yeah.
Really?
That's
Come on, Tisha. Y'all ain't gonna just sit here and ask me questions. Tisha, what you mean? What you mean hard mode?
Sometimes it be in hard mode. You be going through some things. You be like, dang, I ain't learned my lesson yet. You bump your head every now and then, but you get your way through, and then you smooth sailing until the next hurdle.
That's real.
So,
the problems ain't gonna stop.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. You just got to learn how to navigate them in best way possible. That's it.
Yeah. So how long were you a chief?
Hold on, but let's go back. So
okay.
I know you said that you had your motivation for joining the military was because you had your son. And then you just said that you're married. So when did you meet and marry your wife?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, man. I met my wife. I know my wife since I was like 6 years old.
What?
I've known my wife since I was 6 years old. She was the girl next door, essentially. Right?
Wow.
And so her dad was plotting the whole time, man. Like, if you put me and my wife together when we was little kids, it was like water and oil. You couldn't even put us in the same space without us getting into a fight. Even as little kids, man. We were just water and oil, man. And I was cool with her family, but I wasn't cool with her. And her dad was just plotting the whole time. Her dad was like, hey, why don't you come on? You play football. Why don't you come work out with me? Use my equipment. Come on. He would just consistently put me in this environment to get to know her a little bit better. And so, one thing led to another. I'm now in high school. My wife is, developing and looking good. And I'm, like I told you, girl crazy at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So I'm being a little nicer than I probably was in the earlier portions of the relationship and stuff like that. And we spend a little bit more time together than we should at that age. And we make a beautiful child together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do y'all still only have one or?
No, we have two.
Okay.
We have two. I have a 20-year-old now, but she didn't come along until the tail end of that recruiting tour.
Okay.
So how old is your oldest?
20. My oldest is 27.
Okay.
Yeah, and my youngest is 20. So 7 years later.
So your kid's grown.
Yeah, it's freedom. It's fun around here. Yeah. I can do a podcast because my kid's out the house. Yeah. You know what I mean?
My little
I ain't changing no diapers. You know what I mean? We good.
Yeah, she was going crazy too when I left her. But all right, yeah. So we back to how long were you doing chief for? How long were you a chief for?
Technically, the whole time I was in school because officer candidate ain't really a rank. So 2006 to 2007, wearing it in the fleet per se in the recruiting gig. Yeah. 2007, I start summer school at Howard University, and I'm an officer candidate. And then I'm rolling through school for 3 years as a OC, but you still got that chief stink on you, right? So no matter what you do, no matter where you go, people are like, "Oh, you're a chief, right? Oh, okay, great. Here, hold this up. Take these guys, go do this thing that no one's ever done before. Figure it out." They still kind of do it. It ain't like being in I'm not gonna make it sound more difficult than it is, but can you imagine if you were saying that sailors that have had some level of training to do a task is a challenge? Could you imagine being given a bunch of people that have had no military bearing whatsoever or any training and being given tasks to complete? That's an interesting leadership challenge. So,
So you picked up pretty much both close to the same time. You picked up chief and picked up officer at the same time. So it was one of those where,
Yep, my package was already in. I picked up chief. I called the people down at State 21 and I was like, hey, I just want to add this to my package. I just picked up chief, just, to put that on the board. And they're like, what's your name? I gave them my name. And they looked through it. They looked at it and it was like, stop calling. And then click. And then that was pretty much like, I take that to this day. I take it to mean they was like, your package is already solid, man. Just now you being greedy, man. Stop calling. Stop adding extra stuff to it. Yeah. So, yeah.
So then now, how's that now? All right, so now, again, that's another transition for you, right? So first transition coming from L.A. to the Navy. Second transition is going from Junior Enlisted to Chief. Third transition now is going from Enlisted to Officer in the Wardroom. How's that?
Fast forward and past Howard University to get into my...
Let's not pass Howard. Let's go back real quick. Sorry.
Okay.
I want to go back because Howard is, Kamala went to Howard. She said,
let's go. The Mecca.
Yeah.
Where you at?
She told us that. She told us that like 300 times. So we know she went. Every time she talked, she went
to Howard, right? She went to Howard?
Yeah, and she was raised by her grandma too. Her grandma taught her some lessons. Like, well, not raised, but taught her lessons. So she went to Howard. DJ Envy went to Howard too. All right, let's go.
DJ Envy.
He who shall not be named on this podcast.
Right.
Was it honorary Howard? No, he went to Howard.
Yeah.
He went to Howard. Yeah, he went to Howard. Yeah. You know, y'all, but we ain't naming him today. I ain't naming him today. I had to cut out like 6 minutes from an episode.
Slippery Slim went to Howard is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, the diddler. So that's another transition in itself, going from enlisted to like, because are you a full-time student at Howard now?
Yeah, I'm a full-time student. I'm at Howard University, and that is a transition, man, because recruiting was like independent duty, right? So I had a station and I was like a closer, so I still had places I needed to be at that point in time. But getting to Howard, it was like, man, just manage your schedule and show up for these things that we ask you to do. So that is a transition, man. You got a whole bunch of free time. And it just felt like college was unfair. Like it was nuts. Like I'm in this university, it's the Mecca. You know what I mean? I'm seeing all these different types of, diversity rolling around me. And it was the first time that I have been in a situation, and this is my pitch for HBCUs, so I'm going to be honest with you. It's the first time I've ever been in a situation where no one cared about my background, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So I spent a little time at UCLA. And at UCLA, I turned in subpar work sometimes. And I remember hearing an instructor say, well, I get it. You came through the summer bridge program, and I'm going to cut you a break. But this type of work needs to improve, right? It like that's still being cut a break. And then I get to Howard University, and they were pretty much, dressing down the student. They was like, so what, you came from the hood? Half these kids came from the hood. Turn the paperwork in and get the grade. I was like, dang, they mean it. They mean like, hey, you're going to do the work because you're going to do the work. And no one's really there to hear the excuses. So it was a great experience. And being around a whole bunch of other people that just came from different backgrounds. But college was unfair. It was unfair because I just had to show up at the right place. I had to do the assignment. Then after I did the assignment, I showed up to class. I turned the assignment in, and being military at that time, most of the time I went above and beyond what the teacher was asking me for the assignment anyway. So it was really easy to get good grades at Howard University, which left some time for social stuff.
Yeah, I went to school online while I was in the military. And I realized like now it's just because you're saying that I used to follow the rules, like the guidelines to like the whatever, like the teacher wanted us to a T. And like, so we would be in discussions and stuff and like online, and I'd be like, yo, and I watch my other classmates. I'd be like, that's not what the teacher's asking for. Like they ask these specific, I'm so used to doing like MRCs and like that, like that is not what they're asking for. And people used to, hey, do this project. And people used to be like, yeah, I had a DUI back in the day. I'm like, they don't want to know about your fucking DUI. Just do step by step what they want us to do, man. Like these people like coming from their heart. Like, like, yo, that ain't what it's about. Like,
in the job, you get something new, and the first thing you thinking is like, where's the instruction, right? You're like, where's the instruction? Let me follow instructions. So like in school, you're like, hey, the instruction is the rubric or the what's it called? I forgot. I forgot what the hell the thing is called, but it's the thing. The thing, you go get the thing that you get at the beginning of the class, and then you read it down. You're like, oh, I already know everything that's supposed to come down. I even know when we're gonna read these chapters, so I'm in a good spot if I just follow it.
Yeah, so that was tough. That was weird for me.
So for a lot of military, we come into the Navy or military, we come into the military right out of high school, right? Yep. And so we go to college, but most of the time, like we go online, so we don't get like the campus experience. That's the one thing. Like I got an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. And that's the one thing that I really wish I had. And, I'm going to use my post 9/11 and I'm going to go back and I'm going to get it. But I want to hear about the college lifestyle, especially at Howard. And you got money in your pocket because the Navy paying you. I need to hear all of it.
Hold on, though. Hold on.
Oh, we speaking freely out here, huh?
Yeah, hold on before you go, right?
Okay.
Did you just say you're going back to the college campus, Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably do like part-time on campus because the program that I think I'm gonna have to
And
go
you gonna get
on
the
campus.
experience? You going to try to get the campus experience?
I'm gonna try to get, but I'm in SoCal, so I don't know. I ain't gonna get that experience.
You gonna lie about your age? You gonna lie about your age or something?
No, I just want to, be in the mix and be with the,
Yeah,
I'm there. I see it. I
You want
see
to join
it.
like a sorority or something?
I've always wanted to, and then they created the military one, and I was going to do. I
that's
don't
a-
remember
don't do
why
it.
I
Don't do
did
it.
it.
Ain't that a cheat?
I didn't do it. No, not like there's an actual military sorority and a
Don't do that
fraternity.
one.
That's not. Yeah, but I
got a
didn't
tip
do
for you.
it.
I got a tip for you
but
with
I
that. When
still would love to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would still. Well, not the military one, but
We'll double back around. I'll give you some tips for that when it's my turn to ask questions.
I
But
had
we
a
can talk
campus
about that.
experience. I had campus experience. ODU was not
was
too
it like?
far from Norfolk. It was fun. I mean, I wasn't like I went to school online, but what I'm saying is, as a junior seller, I'd be at ODU every day. We'd be at Norfolk
go.
State every day. Even when I came to DC, you got Howard. We went to Hampton University when I was stationed in Annapolis. So I had 4 years of college experience, and I had a whole lot. I used to have my Camaro. I used to drive that shit right to ODU. Is Raising Canes out there, get some K's and go to the dorms and just have my fun, man. I had a friend group and I had a lot of fun.
You could come up with some interesting stories with some food on a college campus, man. Raising Cane's, you was gourmet.
Yeah, we lit, man. We lit. 100 P. Let's go 100 P. Raising K's. Let's spread the wealth like Santa Claus up at Raising K. Like, we done went to the home. We was at the step. We was watching Stepwards. We was like, you would think we went to these colleges. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we might even lie. You know what I mean? Like, I go here. But most of my friends, when I first joined the Navy, most of my friends were in college, right? So either Westchester, Millersville, Norfolk State, like all of those colleges. My actual friend, I have friends that went to Hampton University. So when I came to Norfolk, they were in Hampton University. They just lived off campus. So like they'd be like, hey, we doing this on the campus, doing this on the campus. And I was of the age of the campus, young adults anyway. So I used to be out there all the time.
Man.
It was fun. But back to the
I
question.
ain't trying to
Tisha-
do that fun, but yes.
I ain't even say what I did. I ain't even say what kind of fun it was for the listeners.
Well,
He handed
that
out
just happened to me
chicken
at work.
tenders. He
I know
handed out
it's
chicken
a
tenders.
lot
That's
of-
what that man said he
I
did.
know
that
it's a
happened to
lot
me
of
at work,
partying, but that ain't.
Look, that happened at work. Like we had a brief that this week just happened, and we were talking about Westchester College, and I was like, I've been there before, and my captain was like, well, it ain't. I was like, it was fun. He was like, it ain't that fun. I was like, well, there's a lot of like beautiful young women. He was like, senior. I was like, yo, what I say wrong? Like it was, I had to clean it up. I'm like, I'm not talking about like the last 17 years I've been in the Navy. Like I was like 18 at the time. You know what I mean? He looked at me. He's like, okay, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, let me chill out, man. I can't, But back to the question, Tisha asked you.
Yeah.
A campus experience, and what was that like? It was awesome. I mean, having money in your pocket going to college, you definitely stand out from the rest of the students, man. But you got to remember, now I'm in college, right? So I'm in college and I got 2 kids. I'm married. I got 2 kids. Yes, I got money in my pocket. I have real estate in California that still costs. 2007. What happens in 2007? The real estate housing bubble burst. Right? Yep. So this bubble burst. I got this house in California. It's being rented out because it's near Air Force Base. Air Force homie is like, I could buy a house cheaper than this rent that I'm paying this dude. So he just ups and vacates the property and goes to move his own place. Right? So I still have a $2,400 a month mortgage that I'm due because, that mortgage company want their money, and DC ain't cheap. So I have another $2,400 a month, rent that I got to pay. So I got $5,000 a month that I need to pay in housing costs, so I don't have to jack up my credit because I'm trying to be an officer with good credit. And then I'm trying to hang on to the school thing at the same time. So I had to find creative ways to make sure that I had money coming in at a rate that would allow my family to be financially okay. But being on campus was dope. And Tisha, to your point of getting on campus, one of the biggest benefits of being on campus is the network. You're going to learn and meet the requirements in the classroom, but it's the network. It's the I'm grinding out for this test and you're grinding out for this test, and we work together. You're looking at my techniques and you understand that, hey, I'm going to help you with this, but you got to get this other section, or it's working in those group projects, and me understanding that 80% of the people in this group ain't going to do the work. But the 20% of us that are going to do the work, we going to connect. We're going to bond in some way, shape, or form. And the next project we do, I'm picking you for my team because I know we're going to work this out. What's odd is when you leave the campus, that same network still exists. They know who the workers are. They know who the people that was in the trenches with them. And especially going to a school like Howard, you got guys that you can reach out and touch and make contact with based on the quality of work that you did. So my experience was awesome. I had a decent amount of free time while I was at Howard. That's when I first got interested in my fraternity at Howard. Starting that whole process out. That was wildly interesting, figuring that piece out, figuring out the fundraising thing, doing some mentoring stuff was pretty awesome. I got the opportunity to do a couple of events with Big Tigger, kind of over and over again. I got the opportunity to work with like Trey Songz just because of Howard University. Just a whole bunch of like people that are like really popular now being in and around at Howard when they're like budding. They're like they're just in town for a little bit to meet with somebody and then they're disappearing.
Yeah, because that was the circuit. Yeah, that was the circuit back then.
Yeah.
And I'm the camera. I'm the video guy. I'm the guy that does video. I'm the guy who does editing. I'm the guy who knows Photoshop. And so everyone's like, hey, somebody could do this thing called YouTube is out and they shooting videos. Somebody could help me out with that. And usually I was the person who got recommended for that kind of stuff. Oh, hey, we need a DJ to fill in at the last minute. Somebody could DJ. I would get filled in for random stuff like that at the last minute. So it was interesting time period. And people just forgot that I was like this weird, at the time, 27-year-old, which is old on the college campus. Mm-hmm. They just forgot that. It was like, that's just a fun dude who drives nice cars,
Yeah.
Not knowing the whole time I was financially strapped because I'm paying over $5,000 a month in living expenses. But it was a good experience. I built my network, and my best friend now I met from Howard University in the commissioning program.
Yeah. And you had to go through
my
Howard.
Best friends now. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah. What's this, like 08, right?
In there 07, out of there in 10.
Yeah. So that's the whole Wale, Drake, Kendrick, Big Sean era.
Wale made it to my 30th birthday party. Just strolled in like hella normal. Just just dapped him up. Like, hey, was good. It was an all white birthday party. I got pictures on my Facebook. He's the only one wearing red, which is like, I'm like, dog, if you didn't want to stand out, like, why would you just, whatever. But it was, whole little era. And I wasn't even a fan of Wale's music at that point in time.
Yeah. And it's crazy because Wale bought J. Cole. Like, he kind of brought J. Cole on tour and introduced J. Cole to everybody. But you had to go, I say that because you had to go through Howard. This was where you had to go through Howard, right? So we watching artists like, and I don't know, I'm bringing some of my hip hop kind of conversations to it, but we watching artists like Glorilla do the college tour, or JT, like catering to colleges. They doing it right. That was the chitlin circuit back in the day. So that's who you kind of, had to hit first. So you were in Howard at like, I would say like a golden era of it all. Cause that was the end of kind of like the blog era. That was the blog era for sure. When it came to music, going into the SoundCloud era, the Bryson Tiller era, and all that stuff. So that was like a real golden era at that moment to see all of those people as they were coming into the fold, like you said. So you get out of Howard. What's next? What's next after Howard? Is it like a school before officer stuff?
Yep. So you out of Howard, you commission. I'm a whole ensign in the Navy. Was excited because I was like, I'll get to put a real uniform on and go back out to the fleet. People gonna see I got ribbons. I'm not a know-nothing ensign. I show up to admin, the same admin I rolled into as a chief when everybody was giving me all that respect. I showed up as an ensign and they did not care that I was standing there at all. It was like, man, they didn't even, what do you need? Okay, sit there and be quiet was pretty much the energy that they gave me at that point in time. So I go to Pensacola, Florida at that point in time to learn to start flying airplanes for the Navy. So flight school is that point in time. Go to flight school and I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out. And that's where I was talking about earlier, the nod. I'm looking around flight school and I'm like, okay, this looks very different. I'm gonna be outgoing. I'm not gonna let that stop me. This ain't Howard. You know what I mean? This ain't. I'm not getting Howard vibes here at flight school, but it's okay because I went to Howard. I was confident in who I was. Yeah, I was confident who my identity was. I didn't need other people to perceive my identity. It was ingrained in me. So now I'm in flight school. I'm just like, I'm gonna be open and I'm gonna be a good dude. I'm gonna be my real personality, which is outgoing, fun loving, whatever. And as I see other people that had some similarities in background. I gave them the nod. And if they gave me the nod, we was like, hey, let's figure this thing out. Yeah. And started a group with one of my buddies who went down to flight school before me called Taco Tuesday. And so we just like anybody who wanted to come to Taco Tuesday, come to Taco Tuesday. We gonna eat tacos. We gonna share notes. We gonna talk about flights, and we just gonna have a good time. And we gonna be open and honest with one another. And a lot of those people in that group from Taco Tuesday to this day are some very, very close friends. And a lot of them are notable people when I think about aviators, right? You think about the Fab Five from the Coast Guard, right? These are the first 5 African-American women in the Coast Guard who flew. These are a telephone call away. In fact, I was just kicking it with one of them just like about a month ago, just like, we're in a studio freestyling, even though we're horrible artists. But just that type of energy. I went into the African American History Museum, and there was an exhibit on 3 of them in there. Yeah. So just creating those types of networks and just talking to people, and that flight school experience was it was challenging, it was eye opening, but it was fun. So I'm in flight school and I'm enjoying it, believe it or not.
So coming into all of this, right, before, like coming in from leaving LA through starting flight school, is it ever a moment where this other thing that you do, like the DJ, you say DJing, were you hosting parties too, or was it just DJing? Okay, so
they had a club back there called Club Love. I used to be a little promoter for Club Love. I don't know if that club is still there now, but I was doing promoting for that while. Just sorry to your question. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So that actually helps. Is it ever a moment where you're like, man, I'm lit doing this stuff. I don't need to stay in the Navy, or I don't have to retire from the Navy, or was it always for you, I could do both?
I don't think I ever felt like I was that good at the other stuff to make a whole living off of. So there's never a point where I was like, I'm gonna do videos, I'm gonna do it full time, and I make more money than the Navy's gonna pay me. I never felt that way, not at that point. And I never felt like, hey, I'm gonna be the best DJ such that I don't have to go back to the Navy. It wasn't until, because my grades were solid, but you start doing these projects and you start working with other companies, and we ended up working doing this project with the Goldman Sachs, right? And so we did this like project where we had to come up with this marketing thing, and there was a young lady who's on my team who has worked pretty closely with Oprah, and if you roll through the Atlanta airport, her face is like plastered all over. I'm not gonna say her name, but her face is plastered all over the airport, and she's my partner in this group. And at the time, she was a little like high strung, like, you know what I'm saying? And but she was that student though. She was still high strung, but she was that student. Like, she was always locked in terms of having her stuff squared away. We get through the end of the project, and she's like, hey, you might want to do this other thing too, which was working alongside this little program that Goldman Sachs was doing. And I did it just because I enjoyed working with the homie. And then I had a conversation with Goldman Sachs. It was like, hey, what are you doing after Howard? And, naturally the internet's kind of a thing. So I'm Googling to see what Goldman Sachs is going to pay. And that was the first time that I was like, man, this actually, when you look at how these salaries top out, this might be better than the military. So that was a little challenging to not think about paying my contract back, for this college thing and just rolling over to Goldman Sachs. And so that was a challenge. I think some version of, recognizing the value of a pension and then adding that into the equation, and then thinking, if Goldman Sachs wants me now, wait till they see me when I get this leadership under my belt. Wait till they see me after I get this other time under my belt. I'll have that pension and that Goldman Sachs opportunity behind me. So it was a challenge, but I had good people around me that kind of kept me grounded. It was like, nah, man, just finish what you started, bro. You'll be all right.
Yeah, finish your breakfast. Was aviator school difficult?
Absolutely. It was hard.
Yeah, was it scary?
At times, yeah. It was hard. It was scary. It was all those things, man. But like, I say this, like, when I go to schools, and I hate that this feels prepackaged, but it's real. Like, right, like life as a whole is hard, right? Like if you choose to work out, it's gonna be hard. If you choose not to work out, it's gonna be hard, right? If you choose to eat well, as we were talking about earlier, it's gonna be hard. If you choose not to eat well, it's gonna be hard. And it's on all of us to choose our hard, right? And so going through aviation school was hard, but not going through aviation school or failing out of aviation school, looking my wife in the eye and going, hey, I didn't make the cut, that was harder. So I chose my heart, and my heart was just to buckle down and do what I needed to do to get through there, you know?
Yeah. I would always tell my kids, you gonna pay on the front end or you gonna pay on the back end. Either way, your ass is gonna pay.
You gonna pay. Yeah, exactly.
You gonna pay it either way, and it's usually harder on the back end, so you better get to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, aviator school done. Anything like, have you like I also didn't ask this question, up through aviator school, any adversities, like real time adversities that you faced while being in the military?
Absolutely. Like all kinds, man. All kinds of adversities. All kinds, man. I'm trying to think about, I know there's a Permission to Speak Freely podcast. I don't want to go too dark. I ain't trying to kill the mood. I've had racist supervisors that have used words at work that shouldn't be used at work. I've had supervisors who have thrown physical objects at me. I've been called like names. I've been overlooked for positions and things that I was clearly qualified for. Adversity. I had my brother had the cleanest version of story I could tell you. So I'm in flight school. Got the section called API. It's the navigation course, and that's like most of your. I think at the time it was like 70% of your grade. So if you fail 70% of pre-flight indoctrination, you're never going to get into a military airplane. Like you've never flown before. You're wearing khakis. You were just in super ground school. And so my grades are good. I got this good study habit. Everything's going well. I'm talking to my instructor. I'm just like, hey, am I going to be sure that I'm going to graduate on time? And to the point that my instructor's like, you worry too much with these grades. There's no way you're going to fail. So just keep doing what you're doing. I roll into this navigation exam. I'm ready. I'm excited. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I take a telephone call before the test. It's my brother calling me from the hospital. Now, I don't know about you, but a 6:30 telephone call ain't typically going to be a good thing, right? But my silly self took it right before this test. Come to find out, my brother had attempted suicide that morning. And, he decided to call me just to let me know. He's fine, but he decided to let me know. Shook me up. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't. If I'm only going to get one chance at this test, I probably shouldn't take it today. Adversity. I go looking for my advisor because the process says you got to let somebody know, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can I retake this test? Let me explain to you what's going on and get everything. Can't find my advisor. My advisor's nowhere to be found. I go find another instructor. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. I don't know if I should be taking this test. He's like, look, man, your grades are good. If you just take this test and you pass it, which I know you will, it'll be behind you. And then you can focus all your energy on this thing. And for whatever reason, I thought that was a good idea. So over time, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take this test. I take this test, and when I tell you I damn near failed this thing like nobody business, man, I failed this thing. Like in flight school, anything below 90 is typically a fail, right? And I was like 87.5, which is marginal pass, right? And this test is worth 80% of my grade. Yeah. So I'm stressed, and to be honest, as much as I want to blame every other thing, my brother calling, I was nervous, my instructor didn't come. The reality was that I had almost failed myself out of flight school by making a couple of bad decisions early on in that process. Yeah. And the type of adversity that the racism, the flight school, the grades, I realized that adversity was all about my perspective every single time. Every single time. So the biggest adversity, the biggest by far was me. And there's a whole bunch of stories that I could go into, and there's some dark ones. There's some stuff that would hit an EO complaint, but the biggest thing was my perspective, man. That was the biggest adversity I had to overcome.
Yeah. I think that's true for everybody. Yeah. That's like my opinion. That's Damo's opinion. I think that's true for every single person. I tell people all the time, man, this tour is what you make it. Right, this tour is what you make it. This career is gonna be what you make it. You could sit me in a den full of lions where I'm sure they're about to eat me. I'm gonna have some fun in them last couple minutes. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
I'm gonna have some fun in them last couple minutes. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, just it's what you make it. And some people don't like hearing that. They don't like receiving that. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. Right? I mean, like, make it what you design it to be. And most of the time when you do it like that, you don't have regrets, or you did have a good experience when you know that you own that shit. You really own it. It's a lot of power in perspective. You say there's a lot of power in your words. I think that's coupled with perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of speak your perspective. So what's next after flight school?
So I graduate from API. I end up coming down to Norfolk, Virginia, VAW 120. I select Hawkeyes. Interesting in and of itself. I finished flight school there. I go to VAW 113 in Point Mugu, California. Meet some lifetime friends there, and I get exposed to being a fleet aviator.
Yeah.
That's where I get my call sign. That's where, I do my first 2 deployments. I think we did like 2.5 deployments in that, oddly enough, in that cruise.
When was this?
This is, I'm thinking 13 is by the time I'm at 2013 is like the first year. My math is correct there.
Yeah.
And we're eventually on the GW, and then we start off on the Reagan. We start off on the Reagan before they go to Japan, and then we end up on George Washington when it comes back to California.
Were you at Point Mugu at the same time as Charlie?
Charlie, is that a call sign?
Comedian Tank Adams? No, the
doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, all right, yeah. Because I know I think he said he was at Point Mugu too.
Okay.
And then like it's just now you're is it leadership or is it more so being a pilot?
It's all of it, right?
Okay.
The Navy doesn't let you just go, hey, you're gonna fly planes. There you have ground jobs and you have a whole bunch of other stuff that you're responsible for. In fact, when you were asking me earlier, like, hey, what is one of the adversities that you had? Here's a good one for you. So the last time I was in the fleet, per se, even if it was recruiting, I was a chief, right? And I'm stuck in my ways. I don't know all the answers, but I know where to find them. I don't know all the answers, but I know if I could look to my left, I could look to my right, and I could trust the people that's going to get me right. So now I'm back in the fleet, right? I'm back in the fleet. I'm in a wardroom, and I'm kind of trying to carry that same energy. I'm gonna look to my left, look to my right, and everybody to my left and right don't really know me. They don't know me, and they don't know anything about that type of indoctrination. So what I try to do at that point, I'm like, hey, let me get in cool with the chief's mess. Let them know, hey, I used to be a chief. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get smart. So, I'm looking for somebody down here to just hit me to the game. Chief's mess was like, we don't want to have nothing to do with you, man. You an officer. Stay up there in the wardroom. So, yeah, you like, damn. So, okay, I can't hang out with the chiefs. I'm older than everybody in my ready room. And I found myself in this really weird place, man. I found myself in a place where it was like, when I JO it, when I do the shenanigans that a typical JO can do and get away with, the answer is, hey, you were a chief petty officer. You should know better. Right. And you'd be like, damn. All right. So let me get myself together, polish your shoes, get the uniform good to go, get everything. And then you're walking around like, hey, this is how things work. And they go, hey, you're not a chief anymore. And you're like, wait a minute. You're the same person who just told me 2 weeks ago, you should know better. So I just found myself in this weird place. And I had to learn a lesson that I'm going to be wrong no matter what I do. I just need to find a way to be okay with the wrong I'm going to be at the end of the day. Right. And so for me, that was I'm going to make sure nobody gets hurt. I'm going to make sure I'm following the instructions. If you come to me, I'll give you the help. If you don't come to me, I'm going to let you do what you need to do. Because clearly me volunteering to help is not something somebody wanted. And it was a tough lesson to just kind of feel alone a little bit, in that wardroom. I would say my first 2 years in the Navy were the hardest. Because you're speaking a foreign language. I'm 30 years old, 31 maybe at the time. And I'm in a ready room with my peers are 22, 23. Yeah. Right? They want to party and drink. I got 2 kids and I'm trying to go home at the end of the day. I'm trying to be as efficient as possible so we can get done with this work thing. They're just, I want to fly and that's pretty much all I want to do. It's a different type of energy.
Yeah.
So trying to be a force in the ready room without being overbearing, that's a tough balance to find. And I don't think I really got it perfect, but I got it good enough because I'm still good friends with a lot of those dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. I live kind of far away from my command right now. And the chiefs try to invite me to stuff. Like, hey, bro, you want to come to something? They was just messing with me today. There's one day, are you going to come to one of the things that we invite you to? I'm like, yeah, when y'all invite me, better than the day of. Like, hey, we about to go to the movies, man. Like, yeah, I can't pick my wife up and be like, hey, let's go from DC to Annapolis and go to movies. Like this, it don't work like that. You know what I mean? So we was joking around. But I mean, and you know, that's kind of how the Navy is. Like, people want to go do stuff, and sometimes it's peer pressure. Like, sometimes they really want you to go. Like, you know, they start calling you names if you don't go. You know what I mean?
You know what's wild? You know what's wild though? Think about this. If you work in a civilian job, right? At a civilian job, a person goes to work, they do their job, and then at the end of the day, they dip out, they go home. They don't know about what Johnny and accountant's doing. The military, I believe, is one of the last few bastions of just like work life community, right? Like there's an expectation that the people you work with, that you're going to socialize with in some fashion. You cannot. Doctors don't do that. They don't really hang out like that. Doctors ain't doing that.
We be trying to do it. We be trying to do it at Navy jobs with the like Navy civilians. We be trying. Hey, we gonna start a social group. It's like MWR. None of the civilians want to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
They go up in there like, what this comprise of? Like, no, we want to go home. We got families. Like, yeah. So I know, man.
So it's one of those last few places that's gonna like really occur. And I think like when I look at my sailors, I don't even think my sailors really like kick it with each other. Like that community that you and I had when we came into the Navy, that community that I had in '97, I find one in 2024.
Yeah.
That look like
you could go outside. You could go. You could go outside. You had to go outside, like a lot of times, right? So you met each other on a basketball court. You met each other at the club. Like, if you wanted to meet people, right? You met people at the library. You met people at the supermarket. And then in the Navy,
outside the back of the barracks where those barbecue grills used to be. I used to always be the guy with the big radio. I'm out there with the barbecue grill. I scraped my little money together. If somebody else brought money, I was the dude who knew how to grill. You know what I'm saying? So
I remember those days.
The Liberty Center, you know, you meet. So like the internet, right? And I hate to sound like the old person, right? But Wi-Fi and the internet made it a lot easier to not have to to still meet people, but you don't got to do none of that shit.
You ain't got to go nowhere. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't got to meet people at the club. They got dating apps. They got Tinder. They got swipe right, swipe left. You know, so all of that.
I give you one more too. I give you one more, right? Like, for me, when we was at the MWR, we was at the the Club Nitro in Great Lakes or whatever, because you didn't have a connection to home. There was no connection. You was like, I'm going out to find new people. But right now, a person in Great Lakes could stay in their room, pull out that phone, and still have a similar connection with their people at home.
Yeah, and they doing that on ships. So Damon was saying they on FaceTime now on a ship. So you don't really gotta build a community like that on a ship anymore. You could be distant, and I don't think people really understand the impact of that. But because I know if I was new to the Navy and I was able, like me, Damo, if I was new to the Navy and I was able to keep in contact with my friends from back home, I wouldn't have made friends on a ship, really.
Like, the indoctrination process be complete.
Yeah, they would have been.
Indoctrination process be complete if you still had the ties to the things you was leaving, and maybe not running away from, but the things you was leaving. Would you ever really fully have engulfed yourself into the Navy culture? Yeah, and that's crazy. So because I got a weird answer for that. I'm still cool with all my friends from back home. Like, all my friends from Philly are my friends. The people that I chose to make friends are mature, good people, not criminals. You know what I mean? So I'm not friends with all my friends from back home because I got to pass a security screen, a security background check. So, I mean, when I go home, it's like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Player. You know what I mean? But we ain't finna just be vibing on the phone. That's not gonna go well for my security clearance. How I benefited was I went to high school outside of my neighborhood, right? So inside of my neighborhood, the neighborhood friends I had, man, I remember my first year in the Navy, one of my boys, he got killed. He's 20 years old, man. He got shot in the street, man. His mom I remember this because it was so sad. His mom was trying to give him CPR and pump his chest, and he got shot. He got shot in his chest, man. It wasn't like he drowned, he wasn't coming back from that,
Yeah.
Right. One of my friends, man, one of my great friends. But I made a lot of friends in high school. So outside, and my high school was, it was like a charter of another high school. So it was a melting pot for like a bunch of kids from a bunch of different neighborhoods. So I was able to kind of befriend people from different North Philly, Southwest Philly, like different parts of Philly. And they were good people. You know, it wasn't like the neighborhood I grew up in. Like some of those people burnt out. You know, some of those people just didn't amount to much. You know what I mean? Like some of them, not all of y'all. You know, I don't want no smoke with none of y'all.
Nah, I love my family from LA. I just gotta keep a little distance sometimes.
Yeah, I was just got off the phone with one of my friends from high school, man. It's like, that's one thing I could say. Like I stayed, they like my mom's sons, they my brothers. I really stayed real tight with all my boys. They all, like most of them, like I said, I used to hang out at colleges. Most of them went to the colleges, you know, did that. Stuff like that. So that was good. That was really good. But I can't imagine. Like I would have stayed on, like even when I went to boot camp, them dudes was like sending me, like they would send me like raps, like rap lyrics that they wrote. Like, yo, check this out. You know, because that's what we did. That's what I did. I think the listeners know that. That's what I did as a young man up until I made Chief. I made music. That was all I did.
Yeah.
But all right, so aviation school is done. You know, made it through. Where you at now?
Just finished 113.
Oh yeah. So
then I go back to be an instructor, a flight instructor, VAW 120.
Yeah. Is that where you are?
No, I'm well past that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm a couple of commands. We gonna be here for a while. We keep doing the command, but 120. I was instructor there. Did that for a little bit. Got to work on another program for a Navy UAV. And then after that, I ended up doing a CAG staff tour. So my first officer staff tour on board for CAG 1 on board Truman. I leave that CAG staff tour to do another weird tour. And then I go from there to being a department head in an aviation squadron, VAW 126. And then I left there to do the job I'm in right now, where I work at Airlant as the fixed wing future operations officer, which is a glorified name for the flyover coordinator, amongst other things.
And now you said you up for something earlier, right?
What is Commander Select? So
Nice.
Next September I'll be pinning Commander.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the height of what? Like you got a lot of things that you did since you've been in and stuff like that. What's some of like your biggest moments in your life to you? In the Navy, your biggest Navy moments.
Honestly, the things, like I've done a lot of cool Navy stuff that I would never have the opportunity to do. And I could point to a couple of those, but I think if it's like the thing that like really makes my day and the thing that I'm going to remember well after I take the uniform off, it's going to be those moments that you have one-on-one with a person where you could like change their mindset. It's when something clicks for a person. Like that's just super big. I remember, I was having a terrible day. I was a department head, I think. And I was having a terrible day. I was having a bad day. I was like really frustrated with something that was going on at work that I thought was real simple to solve, and everybody was struggling to solve it. And so I'm in CATSI. I'm doing this watch that we do as department heads, and it's a third class dude. He was sitting there he just had like bad energy. Like his energy was really bad. And so what I do when I'm in a really bad mood, remember that perspective I was talking about, I'm like, I'm going to take, instead of being angry and pouring anger into somebody, I'm going to pour happiness into somebody. And then from their happiness, I'm going to feel a little bit better. Right. And so this dude, after we left the CATSI watch, rather than just like patting everybody on the back, I like pulled the dude aside. I said, hey man, what's going on with you, dog? And I talked to him, and we had some, I gave him some advice, because he was saying he was having issues in his relationship. And I was like, I'm not going to pry into your relationship. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a story with you about my relationship and some of the issues. And if any of this helps you, feel free to use it. And I luckily hit his problem right on the head. Right. And I gave him some tools. I walked away. It was like 3 days later, man. He came back and he was like, hey, man, he's like, not man. He's like, hey, sir, I really appreciate you taking that time for me, man. He was like, I was going to hurt myself. I was like, wait, what? He's like, I was going to hurt myself, because he was like, I can only see myself getting divorced from my wife. And then he's like, you just sat down and talked to me, and these tools you gave me helped me understand that I'm actually the problem. He goes, my approach is just wrong. And I'm like, after 2 days, how you get all this understanding after 2 days, man? But I kept in contact with them for the rest of the cruise, and we just kind of got to talking through it. And it was odd because everybody he talked to was just giving him bad advice about a relationship. Everybody was pretty much telling them, hey, your wife will figure it out. You know, you're in the Navy. She need to figure this out. And, you know, you're doing everything you can. You're out here defending the country and she'll figure it out. And he was literally going back into his relationship with that. And he was losing. But the reality, the most bastardized version of advice, that way your listeners in the comments criticize this advice, right? I think when I look at my own relationship situation, I think if I make it really simple, most relationships need three things. I think relationships need a physical component. I need relationships need a mental component, and they need an emotional component. And if you can suspend your belief to say that these are three things that make up 100%, think about what you have in a relationship when you go on deployment. Do you have the physical? Nope. No. Do you have the emotional? Sometimes, maybe a little bit. And do you have the mental? Nope. And here's why. What do those letters look like when you write a letter home after a busy day? Hey, did you pay this bill? Is the dog okay? How are the kids doing? Okay, it's been a tough day. I'll write you tomorrow. Click, bye. And you do that again for 6 to 9 months. You are not tackling nobody's emotional needs. You're not tackling anybody's mental needs. You're not stimulating their thoughts. You definitely ain't getting nothing physical. So you have to up those. You know, we're talking about of all those 33% you're in a maybe, you're probably making 6% of that whole equation, and you wonder why your relationship is all jacked up. What if you could make some small changes in your relationship to at least get up to 66%? Is that something that would be worth the effort? And so what I started doing was a question of the day with my wife. And what I did was I wrote all the stuff I was going to ask normally, but I asked her a question to get to relearn who she is. Right. And that question would be something like, when is the last time I made you feel truly special? Now, I'm not a genius. I like literally went on Amazon like every other sailor does. And I found a system that was going to give me a question. And then since I'm asking this type of question, I got to be vulnerable too. So I started answering the question first to be a leader in my relationship, to communicate exactly how I wanted her to answer the question back. So I would ask the question and I would say, the last time I truly felt special was when you did this. And here's why, and gave a heartfelt answer. Right. So now we go back through that equation. I'm sending emails like that back and forth to my wife for the better part of 2 or 3 months. I get to know her a little bit better. I can't wait to race back to that email to see how she's doing. And she can't wait to race to my emails to see how she's doing. Let's check the evaluation. Am I mentally stimulating her? Yep. Am I emotionally stimulating her? Yep. Am I physically stimulating her? Maybe not. But I'm at least at 66%. And that's better than just asking about the dog or the groceries or the roof or the washing machine. And so giving that dude that advice and walking him through that piece, over that time, he was like, hey, that was really helpful for me. And I saw him like in the mall randomly, like last year. And he was like walking with his wife. And he was like, hey, that's the dude that told me about the thing. It's moments like that. That's the highlight for me. When you see a change like that in somebody, you can't help but get like really emotional about it.
Yeah, they definitely the wins. Definitely the wins.
And that's really dope, because a lot of people like don't really know how to navigate their own relationship, but then be trying to help other people and try to give advice to their sailors, knowing good and damn well you doing a horrible job.
Yeah.
And just be giving bad advice. Right. Yeah. And just giving out badass advice, or, you know, you all mission, and you don't really care to feed into, you know, what their emotional needs are in their personal life. So you're just like, you know, she gonna have to get over it, you know?
Yeah.
I just see that a lot of sailors that they come into the Navy early. They're trying to learn how to be a man from other, you know, from their leaders. They're trying to learn, you know, navigate through relationships. Because, I mean, I learned relationships in the military for the most part, because I joined right out of high school. Like, I didn't really know what to do. In my first marriage, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just doing stuff. Like, oh, I think I'm supposed to do this. And I don't even think I was that great at it, honestly. I think I put a lot of focus in being a mother. Because I didn't really know how to be a wife. Nobody really taught me that. And so I had to kind of reach out to mentors that I saw were doing it right. Being a divorce. But but I feel like I'm more equipped now, and I actually will do research to try to figure out, you know, if I go into that again, that I have the knowledge. I know how to be well equipped. I know, you know, what type of wife I want to be. So
yeah,
but
that's
not a lot.
important.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that, you know, I realized my relationship was like just going in the wrong direction at one point, and I had to take some extreme ownership. Like, and it was like, if it came to music, DJing, Photoshop, graphics, or anything else, I would have read every book in the library to figure out how to get better. And here I am, my relationship is showing signs of struggle, and I don't even want to go to counseling. I don't even want to try. So I felt some kind of way about that. So I just started Amazoning a whole bunch of like relationship books and just reading them. And then after reading the better part of like, you know, like 4 or 5 books, I started seeing a thread. And the thread was I wasn't pouring into the relationship what I wanted to get out of the relationship. I wasn't leading in my relationship. I wasn't showing my wife how to love me. And I was listening to how she wanted to be loved, but then I had to learn that maybe the words that I'm getting isn't exactly what she needs based on hearing differently. And
right.
It was all that stuff, man. And my relationship got better when I learned to listen differently. So,
And I can only imagine when someone is dual mill and you got both chain of commands saying the same thing.
Oh, that's a whole bunch of bad information.
Yeah, because it's like, no, your husband need to know, your wife need to, and, you know, so it's a lot of times it can be just a struggle, or, you know, one person is underway and then the other person is home on shore duty, but not all shore duties are created equal. So some of them are very taxing, and it's like they're doing it on their own. I actually have, at where I work now, I don't work for the military. I work at another agency, but there's this one chick that I work with, and her husband is in the Navy, and I think they have like 3-4 kids, and the last one was a set of twins, and he's on deployment right now. And so it was like difficult for her at the beginning when she first got to the job, because no one understood the military lifestyle really. And so she was getting like a hard time from her like supervisors. According to her, she was. I don't really know. But she felt like she wasn't really getting the support that she needed, because no one really understood it. It was like and like you said, in the civilian world, like they will fire your ass. So they will fire your ass. So it's like they didn't really understand it, but they were just like, figure it out, or you can go somewhere else. So
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Siri, question. What you think is like the 3 biggest issues that the Navy's facing right now?
Retention, I think is an issue. I don't think we're keeping like, and this is just me spitting ball in the back of the napkin, man. Don't have me on the front of Navy Times saying that Siri said biggest problems in the Navy are. I look at like we got a lot of dudes with some great experience and like really unique skill sets. That it would be dope to keep that experience in the Navy. You know what I'm saying? And then and then got like, I'm watching in different jobs, like people are just walking away from this, and more power to them. You know, they're going to make a little bit more money in the civilian sector with the skill sets and everything. But it would be amazing to just roll into a spot where I did a stint as a admin department head. It would have been dope to have an admin chief. You know, it would have been dope to have a YNC, right? And I just didn't see that. I think keeping the skill and keeping people charged and motivated is one aspect. That's a problem. Another problem.
So now just on yours, right? Just on yours before you go to the next one. Remember PTS?
Perform to serve. Yep.
Yeah. I was telling one of my boys who had to get out because of that. That I feel like their generation, that got out because of PTS, I feel like they were the like lost generation that we needed in the Navy. Because a lot of the people I knew that was PTS was like 16-year seconds or some shit like that, like scrappy workers that's like close enough to us to like give us some direction and like teach us that like working matters. Because honestly, my generation, I'm gonna talk about my generation. From what I saw is we cared about promoting, right? Making rank, right? That's it. That's primary, right? It ain't about how you knowing which tool you using, how your tool bag is put together. We want to make rank. However, whatever that means, that's what we want to do. What they were doing, that scrappy generation before us, was like, hey, I know you want to make rank, but also you need to learn twos and their uses. You need to read this right. You need to do this right. You need to do this right. They were, in my opinion, like the glue. You know what I mean? But PTS got a lot of them out. A lot of that generation. And then now they like a lot of those, you know, guys and women that I know, they like went on to like a shipyard or something. The ones I know, they went on like to shipyard, and they pretty much being that same kind of beacon of light for sailors and other civilians in the shipyard that they're at. But they all left. So then it's just people like me that's just moving up and up, you know, the promotion ladder, like that didn't slow down long enough to like fully learn the job. You know what I mean? So, and now we're here. Like, you know, we're at this point where like, it's not like, hey, no, sit down, shut up before you grab that tool, dumbass. Look at this tech manual, you know, or, you know, even if they don't say the dumbass part before you grab, that was like, I don't know. I just feel like that group that got put out would have been an essential group for, they would all be retiring around right now or a couple years ago or something like that. But I feel like they were missing. That's my opinion.
I could agree with that. I had some situations in my last couple of tours where I'm staring at a person who, at least in my memory, and I'm looking at their uniform and it looks like one of prominence and knowledge, if you catch where I'm going with that. And I'm asking a question, you know, about a topic, and then we're both blinking at each other. You ever had a conversation where the conversation stops and y'all both just
looking?
Yep. You just waiting for the next person to talk. Like whoever talked first is gonna lose. I can't stand that. I mean, I know exactly what you mean when you say that, because I've had too many of those conversations where two people are blinking at each other, and like in my era, at least on that side of the fence, like kind of. Even if we didn't know the answer, we at least knew to go look at the instruction. Even if we didn't know the answer, we at least knew who we could go talk to find the answer. And I have had some experiences where some people don't even know how to ask, one, to identify that they need to ask the question to get the help. And I'm not going to, you know, bash everyone, because that's both on the officer side and the enlisted side that I've seen that occur. Yeah. But it would be dope to keep some of that skill in. I work with a lot of civilians right now, and they've been doing the job for a long time, and the corporate knowledge that's in the job is just ridiculous. I feel so like I'm just drinking from a fire hose the whole time, because these people have this corporate knowledge that's like so vast. You're like, how do I ever keep up with you? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just writing these ridiculous notebooks every time someone says something, so I can at least recall it at some other time. And that's what I think that's what the Navy could be knowledge wise if we kept some of those people in.
Yeah, because that generation would have never came out on top of a rack and stack. You know, that they wasn't coming out on top of that 18-year second. Yeah. You was gonna rack and stack him out of here no matter what, but you don't know what the fuck he doing down in that engine room.
It's just working. Know.
He's working, and he probably got a family, some kids. He mature enough. He got them young sailors in there grinding, doing it the right way. You know what I mean? They'll never come out on top of a rack and stack. And I remember what PTS did. It was racking and stacking.
Yeah.
You know, and getting rid of the people that ain't rack out. You know, so I feel like that was a weird moment. All right, I just wanted to add to
I've
that.
never asked this question before. What rates? I should have did my research, but what rate did you have before Tisha? Okay, and then for you, Damo?
I was an electrician's mate.
Okay, dope. So you could kind of vibe with this one. There's a period of time in my career where we're troubleshooting, and I don't know how y'all learn to troubleshoot, but the Navy used to teach when I came through bisect method. You ever? So
I
basically,
heard that term.
Yeah. So you take this chart, you open it up, and you figure out where the signal starts. You figure out what's wrong. You figure out where that signal starts. You figure out where that signal ends. You draw a line through the half of the chart, and then you assess which side of the chart is faulty. And so I'm a whole aviator at this point in time. We're trying to troubleshoot a piece of equipment. I'm like the avionics divo. And so I was walking through like the bisect. I was like, hey guys, this is blah, blah, blah. And just like walking through the thing and going, hey, what signal should come here? And I had like the first class who was all into it. He was like, hey, I'm gonna work with you. I say about 30 minutes into it, The other second class was like, I'm not interested anymore. Just kind of walked off and just started pulling parts off the airplane. And then we get to a point where I'm like, hey, just check this signal right here. If you check this signal, it's going to answer the question. And the first class, like, yeah, I agree with you. How do we check it? We did like all the little math and everything, like from back in the day. So now I got my second class, got to put all the equipment back in the freaking airplane. First class rolls out, checks the signal, and then comes back. It's like, sir, that's the part. It's broke, you know? And it happened to be the exact opposite piece that the second class had pulled out. So he swapped it out, powered the aircraft back up, and it worked. And so it was wild to me that, you know, hey, here's something I learned back in 97, which is probably archaic, you know, was still like valuable. And at that time, it's probably like, what, 2018, 2017, something like that. It's probably valuable at that point in time. And that's not the level of, as a fire controlman back in 2002, 2003, I had to do that. Like that, there was no pulling anything out of a CWIS mount just to see if it worked. I was going to get punched in the face. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to get punched in the face if I did something like that. But, you know, in 2024, that's just not expected. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm going to pull this part and swap it out a whole bunch of times. It's not a problem. It's just different. And I don't, you know, how do you let go of that old thought process, that old time while you watch other people do something that was like taboo, like, you know, during your time? I'm rambling, but that's the kind of thing.
I mean, you're right. It's hard to let it go because we preach technical expertise and competency now. We're preaching that in 2024. And I think by like another 3 years, the advancement exam, and I'm always fighting for the advancement exam because it's supposed, I believe that like that's the only time people pull out books nowadays anyway, is to study for that. But that's the only reason I'm always fighting for it. If it was other reasons to pull out books, then I wouldn't. But I think the advancement exam as a whole is going to be dead in like 3 more years. Like completely dead, right? And I got some. I think it's gonna be completely dead. I ain't about to go crazy, right? But yeah. So how do we study? How do we learn? How do we go back to those? Like, how do we become technical experts? I know a lot of chiefs that's not technical experts. A whole lot,
and they don't have to be. They don't have to be. They don't have to be technical experts. By the time you make chief, I don't want you to be a technical expert. I want you to know where to find the answer. I want you to know this division like the back of your hand. I want you to support them. You are the spine. You're the spine of that division, man. Like, a chief's going to be in that billet, what, 3, 4, maybe 5 years on that command? Maybe? Question mark? And then your divo's going to be in that job for 9, 12 months? Come on. Who's going to have a bigger impact?
Yo, but that's the thing, though. Like, in the MCPON's like letters, right? For example, the demand is for chiefs to be technical experts. Like, that's what the MCPON is saying that we should be, is technical experts, right? That's, you know, so that's an expectation for us, is to be technical experts. And I know a lot of us are not. Like, we just not. We don't know the shit.
What? Okay, we can open the worm. I'm sorry. I'm just curious. I'm ignorant to this. What is the benefit of having a highly, and I'm not going against MCPON. Love you, MCPON, if you're watching this. I'll give you a hug later. But what is the biggest benefit of having a technical expert chief over the other problems we're trying to solve? Like if you say, hey, I need a person who's technically expert, or have a person who can build a cohesive team, right?
Oh, well, they want that too.
Which so both. So technical expert and build. Okay.
It's like,
you should have led with that.
And I ain't talking about Big Pot no more, but it's like 8 different things that chiefs got to be. Like, it's like, and they all weigh the same. Like, you know, build a culture, be competent.
I love
establish connection, right? So competency, culture, connections, right? Yeah. All that shit, right?
I can't knock it. I can't knock it.
Yeah.
MCPON knows a lot more than I do, but I my fear becomes. You know, like if you prioritize everything, then nothing's a priority.
Yeah.
In your statement, and having not read it yourself, what would you say is the priority? What is the MCPON's priority in that statement? Like, there's a lot of things I said, but what's the priority? If you were to pick out 3 things that are at the top of that list, what would they be?
He released 3 different statements. So it's 3 statements, and they all are of equal, you know, importance. I kind of want to get away from the.
I'm gonna read up. I'm gonna get smart. I'm gonna get smart before I embarrass myself.
He released 3. So that's the expectations of, you know. Now let me talk to you about my priority. Let me tell you what my priority is. My priority is connection right now at this time of my career. And I'm not saying that, technical expertise don't matter. I'm not saying but I'm saying if I rack and stack, connection is first for me. Right. And that's some people probably like, fuck connection. Connection's first. Because I think that's how everything else is built off of that. Nowadays, right? Yeah. With people nowadays, everything else is built off connection. I could probably teach you better if we're connected better. Yeah. Our connections help build the culture, So I got connection at my primary.
I can see that. I had a fail as a divo. We were talking about being an avionics divo, right? I had a fail, and I'm not trying to combat the technical expert piece, but I did have a fail, and I just want to share that for context why I have the question marks blazing over my head right now. So I had an AT. He was 2M qualified. I don't even think that system exists in the Navy anymore, but he was 2M qualified. He was fixing like a small component, and I won't even say what that component was. He was fixing a small component, and I was watching him do it, and he was doing it inappropriately. Right. And I was a 2M qualified guy. So I was like, hey, one, you got to clean your piece. He was basically taking a solder. It was a dirty area. He hadn't grounded anything. And he had a soldering iron, and he was just glooping the solder onto the iron. And it was making these big bulbs. And then the big bulb would just fall onto the component. Yeah. And what happens is a pocket of air gets caught in there. It makes it really brittle, and then it can break off. So the component was breaking over and over and over again. He's our only 2M dude. And so one day I'm like, hey, man, I got tired of just like him having the same problem. So I'm like, hey, bro, if you clean that board and, you ground everything and you use this stuff called flux, it's going to make this whole process a little bit easier. Yeah. And he just popped off. He was like, you think you can do such a good job, sir? Why don't you do it? And I was like, dang, finally somebody wants me to, show him that I used to be a chief petty officer and I know how to do this thing. And I'm a technical expert is really what I was trying to show this dude. Fire control 2M ain't very different from AT 2M. Probably shouldn't have been working on equipment. And I'll wait for my nip lock. But the point is, I was like, hey, here's how you do it. I kind of was holding like a course and cleaned everything off and got the work area, grounded everything, hit the little, the component, heated up the component, not the dang solder, tapped it with the solder, nice little puff of smoke. And then it sucked in, looked like aluminum foil. It was like a textbook solder. It looked good. I felt good about myself. I was like, damn, I still got it. Stood up. Oh, boy was in the corner, boiling mad. He was hot. He was basically like, I just got embarrassed by my divo who tried to show me that I can't do my job. Yeah. Right? And you know what else happened? Every time I walked in the shop after that, you think anybody else in the shop was willing to like keep working while I was in the shop? Everybody was like, oh, no, they go to divo. He going to show me how to do my job next. You know what I'm saying? And so I then became a hindrance walking into the shop because nobody was getting anything productive. I had a dope chief who was like, hey, sir, you might want to just stay out the shop for a while until we figure this thing out. Yeah. He was impressed, but the shop wasn't. I was a technical expert. I showed this dude how to do his job by the textbook, literally taught a class, and lost the entire division at that point in time. So my particular, go ahead.
Where do you find fault for that?
My job wasn't to be me as a divo, and I'm not, again, back to the CMC, the McPawn thing. I'm not counteracting that. My job was not to be a technical expert, and I get it. That's not what I was being billeted to. My job is to be a leader and control policy in that shop. And the chief's job was to make sure that policy was being enforced, that we were following all of that policy. So I found fault that I believed that I wanted this guy to have the same knowledge that's in my head because it was going to make him more efficient at his job. That's what I believed it to be. And I didn't recognize the second order effect was a bunch of other things that I never took into consideration. Yeah. Right. And then think about the time that I spent, the 20 minutes I spent down there patting myself on the back for still knowing how to solder. That's 20 minutes I took away from something that actually was my job, something that probably was a higher priority than sitting down and soldering.
So if you had to do that over, right? If you had that moment over again, right? It's a seller who obviously don't know what the fuck he doing, right? Let's kind of be, bold about. You do know what you're doing, right? So now, in a broad scope, if this person is chosen to solder, me being an EM, I'm going to make an assumption, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. The person that's chosen to solder is chosen to solder. Like that mean that like some other people might not know how to do it. So this
he
person
volunteered
is,
for that school.
yeah, this person is like, you know, the one, you know what I mean? So, and that means everybody else that comes after them might be learning from them, right? But if they don't know what they're doing and you do know what you're doing, how would you go about that, you know, scenario differently so that the lessons are learned and the skill is developed?
Snapshot without much thought and, you know, trying to answer the question quickly, which you should never do as an officer, which is going to be great that I'm going to do this on national podcasting right now, is my job is policy, right? So I stay in my job line. I figure out what the policy is for how we solder and fix the policy, not the person. So if there's a policy, either sailors following the policy or they're not following the policy. Do we have one as a shop? No. Does the Navy have a policy on how you're going to do it? Yes. If he does, then, hey, Chief, just want to give you a heads up. I saw that such and such was not following the policy for soldering. Just for reminders, here is the policy. Can you ensure that they stick to that next time? I believe that that's what's contributing to this high failure rate of this part.
Yeah. Was he following a policy?
Absolutely not. Homeboy was making it up as he went along.
He's going, right? So, and the reason why I say that is because, like, those things need to be leveraged, I think. Like, we still need, I got this whole analogy about the senior chief or the master chief CS only cooking on a holiday, right? Where you get the stuffed pig and you get all the great food and all that. We still need that master chef in the galley every now and then, just the whole court, just to show the young CSs, you know, how to do it every now and then, how to make the vegetable medley taste a little bit more buttery, you know, have a little bit more seasoning, you know, don't only come on Thanksgiving and stuff this damn pig with an apple and do all the great stuff that you do, then roll out for the, like, go in there a little bit, look around. That's what they call like deck plate leadership, right? Go in there and look around, add your impact, however it is that you're supposed to, right? So technical expert and like the actual person that's doing a job is two different things. A technical expert at some point should be the resource, right? So where I'm basically getting at with technical expert is like this. When if I'm on a ship and something is broke and we got, like, let's say we got our most junior person working on it, right? And it seems like you are a technical, well, you kind of are, you've been a technical expert many times, but we got our most junior person working on it and they can't fix it. Right, they can't fix it. Of course, we referenced, you know, tech manuals and all that stuff. They got all that stuff. They still can't. They having trouble, right? They would go up. They would go up somewhere. Like, it's time to go find the second class, right? Second class can't fix it, right? You know, and I ain't gonna belabor the whole thing. Eventually, it gets to where nobody figured this shit out. None of your 3 first classes, nobody figured it out. So, last resort, they should be able to go to a chief, right? In this perfect world scenario shit. Last resort, they should be able to go to a chief and the chief should be able to say what you said when y'all were working on that one piece of equipment. Let's do it like this and see what happens, right? That's the part when I'm saying that I know we got chiefs that's not technical experts. That's the part I'm talking about, is when the chief get hit as that last resort and the chief is like, yo, I don't know that shit either.
So that chief can't pick up the phone and, like, ask another chief, like, that's the mess. That's not the mess anymore. And excuse me for being a jerk, but
no, that's good. That's good conversation.
Like a chief can't pick up the phone. Like, come on, like I call you brother, I call you sister. I can't fire off an email early on in that process. I can't go, hey, I got a couple second classes struggling with this thing before I get up. You got any tips for me? Yeah,
like you should be able to. You should be able. Like, I would argue that some of that is cooked into the technical expert recipe as well. I would argue that knowing your resources is a part of what people define as a technical expert. But I'm telling you from what I see that a lot of people don't.
My fear is this. This is my fear. And I'm probably wrong to have it. But my fear is there's somebody who's going to take that literally. There's a chief somewhere who is now, so they eval could be as great as it could be when they're talking to the command master chief, is going to walk around patting themselves on the back for being the sharpest person at this thing. They're the technical expert as opposed to training technical experts.
But you can't train a technical expert if you're not one.
I bet you I can.
But you sound like
100% I can.
But you sound like, yeah, but you sound like a technical expert.
I could read. We could do this training. We could do this training together. You know what I'm saying? I could train. When is the last time When is the last time y'all actually saw training in the fleet for real?
That shit ain't happening. Like,
I'm just curious, and maybe it is somewhere, but I haven't seen it, and you haven't seen it.
Training ain't happening. Yeah. Who gonna give the training?
Right. So
who got time?
Chiefs ain't out here giving training like that.
There's a training petty officer that could probably get some training. The Navy still has pubs to teach the stuff. Like there's opportunities to train. Like
training. I'm giving you like a real world like description of what I be seeing. Training ain't happening like that because it's taking longer to fix shit because don't nobody know how to do it, man. So we might be calling for tech reps, and now when tech reps coming ain't even the same no more. They either straight fixing it without the people around, or they got the people passing them tools back and forth, right? So I'm on the same page as you. I don't think it's realistic that a chief is going to be, like my personal opinion, is I don't, in this day and age, I don't think it's realistic. So I stated that I don't think it's a lot of chiefs that's technical experts, and you said that you don't think they should be. I agree. But the expectation is that we are. Yeah.
Okay, my last pitch for this. I remember when I first got to my first command, FC3, we got CWIS block zeros, right? It's all hydraulics and stuff like that. And then the fleet was supposed to get block ones, swap them over to pneumatics, couple new box changes, and all this other good stuff. Now they got like block 1 Bravo, probably some extra letters that have come through, right? And if I was still in the Navy today as a master chief, right? It's a completely different system. I'm not just the master chief over that one CWIS system. I'm the master chief over the whole fire control department, some of which I haven't even gone to school for. And then amidst, I think, again, I've been binging y'all podcasts, right? You were talking about DRB for 5 hours just recently. Yeah. Right. So I spent my 5 hours doing the DRB. When do I hit the pubs? When do I hit the pubs to learn the system I haven't gone to school for, to learn to trace trons in that vertical launching system? When do I learn to that gun director? When do I do that? I'm still not coming for the McPawn. I'm just saying, like, how do I become a technical expert in that? It's hard for me to tell
you you right, because you're right. Like it's no time. It's no time.
But what I can do, and it is what I want to believe McPawn is saying. What I can do is I could be a technical expert in creating these training plans to get everybody up to speed. What I can be a technical expert in is on leadership to make sure that all the policies that my Divo and my department head have established, that we're following it, that I'm training other chiefs on knowing where they can find to do the networking piece so they can go get the answers. And I'm the technical expert on taking my little tentacles and going out throughout the fleet and learning the people who are going to be able to help me with those future problems. Like, I'm not trying to, in my job right now, I am not trying to know everything. I literally will turn to the rotary wing dude and ask a question. Hey, have you ever seen anything like this? If there's flyovers or something weird going, I'm going to call over to the dude on the West Coast and be like, hey, have you ever seen something like this? Like, I don't know. Can you point me to the instruction? I want to read this instruction and get familiar with it. And then after I've seen that problem, I may be an expert for a short period of time on that thing until the instruction changes or until I forget that information. Yeah. But I think someone's going to take that technical expert part literally to mean in rate.
Even before the latest, the latest MCPON, like mission, like the latest visions and principles, right? I did. When I made chief, I got to my first ship and I was like, yo, I'm a hold myself away and read. I'm gonna still do a bunch of other shit, but when I'm not doing the other stuff, I'm gonna be in my tool issue reading tech manuals. I'm gonna just be sitting here reading tech manuals so I could be the all-knowing technical expert. Yeah. You know how many hours I clocked at reading tech manuals? Yeah. Like not a lot. I could probably count this shit on like one hand how many hours I was at. Like, yo, I get in there, I'm reading the tech manual. They like, hey, look, something wrong with the fucking scullery, yo. We need to go it's a DDG, so we need to go fix it. I'm like, yo, I ain't even get to that tech manual yet. I didn't even get there yet. You know what I mean?
One of two things, that tech manual, one, probably outdated, and number two, if you did learn it, it'd be changed by the time you got to the system.
So and the reality of the story is when we got there, it was like jury rig. So even if it didn't matter what tech manual we had, somebody went in there and rigged that shit up however they, so trust me, we on the same page with that, but it's an expectation out there for chiefs to be technical expert amongst every other expectation, and that's not, trust me, that ain't a McPond dig at all. That's the weight of that anchor, I want to say, as far as everything that's expected of us. All right, what's the second one? What's the second?
Oh, damn.
He forgot the original
second
question.
issue.
Oh, it was what are the issue?
What's another issue that you feel like we went down a hole with that? That was good though.
We did. That was.
I think man, this is messed up because I wanna work in this community so bad. Oh man, I'm about to put a nail in the coffin for this one. I'm sorry. I hope I don't get fired before I even get the job.
Go get fired on your day off.
I know, man. I think number 2 is we got to find, I'll say it this way. We got to find ways to get the right candidates interested in this occupation. I think because retention is what it is, I think we're just maybe not pulling in the right candidates. We don't have the people don't have the right perception of what this thing is. This Navy thing is so dope. This thing is unfair. It's so dope. This Navy thing is dope. It's good. And it's so good that it's frustrating when you put it in front of somebody and they can't see exactly how dope it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so instead, the time I'm spending with recruiters and I'm looking at the way they're approaching people, like the product that they have is not the greatest product on the face of the planet. And that bothers me a lot. That bothers me. And I've been to 3 areas where I've got to see it. I'm not coming for recruiters. I'm just coming for the mindset. I am coming for recruiters' mindset. I'm not coming from recruiters. I'm coming for that mindset. There was nothing you could tell me, about the Navy as a recruiter. Like my leadership would not allow me to not believe that this wasn't the greatest thing on the face of the planet when I was out there. I just had some chiefs that even when I had days where I was like, man, this dude dad make $300,000 a year. I can't tell him nothing. He's like, well, this kid walked in the office, so figure out why he walked in the office. It's just that energy. Yeah. And so I think another problem is just maybe finding the right people, I don't have a whole global view of how they get picked out there, but I don't feel like we're bringing people understand. How about this? I don't think people understand how great this thing is. It's an equalizer. Joining the military is an equalizer, man. I came from the bottom, right? Yeah. And I live in a neighborhood with a dope piece of property such that I have a video studio in my house. Yeah. My mom, who told me that, hey, you should never join the military because it's the worst decision you could ever make. Now she depends on me for 95% of her daily living requirements. You know what I mean? Like this is a story like that Antoine Fisher movie. That's my movie. And the happy ever after just keeps getting happier. Right. And somehow I could tell somebody about all these opportunities and they would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, I'm not joining the military. I'm not joining the Navy. That's not something I'm going to do. Like, this is the hotness. Okay, sorry. Here's one, right? So I go around, I travel, we talk about scholarships. There's a Navy scholarship, right? That's out there. Maybe you've heard of it, NROTC scholarship, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like a couple of other scholarships that are out there. But think about this. The average college graduate in the state of Nevada is going to make, I think at the time I was doing this presentation, $49,000 a year. When they graduate, they're going to make $49,000 a year. Now, anybody at home could Google what an ensign in the Navy's basic pay is. You could do that. And you're going to come up with a number close to like 45, 46 somewhere, $1,000 a year. Let me make 2 very distinct differences between these two. $49,000 a year, you're still going to pay for your college loans. You're still going to pay for your medical benefits. You're still going to pay for your housing. You're still going to pay for, and you're not going to get discounts when you walk into stores. Not that you should ever be looking for just discounts, but that's not your lifestyle, right? Dental, vision, all that stuff. Now, this $45,000 a year dude is not going to have any college loans, right? The average debt across the nation is somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000 in debt. College loan, but that person coming out of a ROTC scholarship ain't gonna have no college loans. Oh, right. And that $45,000 I gave you is only the taxable income because I still got to pay you BAH and BAS. So an ensign in the Navy is probably gonna make closer to $70,000 a year to start a job with no college loans. And I can look someone square in the eye and tell them you're going to be educated. You're not going to have any college loans. You have a guaranteed job and you're going to roll off and find success at whatever it is that you're interested in. And they're going to tell me, nah, I'm just not interested. That's not for me. But we're still on TV complaining about student loan debt. People should be knocking down my door for this program.
Yeah.
So I just think that there aren't people who are charged up enough to communicate to the right people that these are the type of opportunities.
Yeah.
Now you want to go even further? Look at what an E5 makes in the Navy right now, and then add BAS, BH. Now I got an E5 making more money than a college graduate. Yeah. Tell me why people aren't banging down recruiters' doors.
Oh, yeah. So I saw a video this morning, actually. It's kind of weird. It was about, it was like I think he was in the Army or something. He had a mask on his face. You could tell his face was like burned up. It was like really messed up. And he was like saying, thank God every day for like life and stuff like that, right? It was like a religious post and about appreciation of God and stuff like that. The comments were grotesque, man. Like super bad. You know, the comments were like, how many people did you kill in such and such? How many innocent women and children did you kill? Such and such. It was bad. Like the comment section was crazy. I know somebody listening probably saw this too, because it probably popped up on your feed. And I was like, damn, that's like, not everybody, but that's how some people are looking at us nowadays. Like, you know, nobody, like, I don't think that people knew what he did. Like, I don't think people, it's just some dude who popped up on your feed, man.
Right.
Like, you don't even know where he been, like what tours he did. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just happened to be in uniform. You know, and I'm like,
I think
damn.
people care. I think people care too much. I think people care too much. I think people care too much about what other people think.
Yeah.
I think like back to the LA hood stuff, right? We got those friends, those gully friends that's like they don't care. They're going to get it any way they want to. They're going to make some really horrible decision. Have they here we go moment where they lock themselves into a lifestyle and they're going to do this thing and they don't care what nobody think about it because they get money or they're going to get to whatever their aim of success is. Why is it that if you could see a clear path from where you are right now to your very own definition of what success looks like, right? That you care what other people think if you've clearly identified what success looks like. And here's my thought. I say this to people. Success is like pizza, right? Damo, for real. I'm going to get a pizza with you. We're going to get this pizza and you got in your mind, okay, all right, Siri, we about to go get this pizza, right? Pizza show up. It's got pineapples and anchovies on it, right? You going to eat that pizza?
Nah.
No, you're not, right? Because that's not, but I said pizza.
Yeah.
I told you I was getting a pizza. Why ain't you happy with this anchovy and pineapple pizza? What's wrong with you? It's pizza.
Yeah, I ain't
right?
doing that.
Right, because you have a different idea of what your ideal successful pizza looks like. We use a word, we call it something, success. Pizza. We call it something, but it's different for every other person, right? So you have this different idea of what success looks like for you, but you're going to follow the same exact path that everybody else follows to get to your very unique idea of success. And if you sit down with a officer or enlisted recruiter or a military person, and they could get you to a point where you're like, hey, I really see this as a viable way to get to what I see as successful. Success to me is being happy, comfortable, having a career, traveling to see the world, not worrying about money, being able to retire by the time I'm 37 years old, being able to live a full life, having a college education. And they could point you to that idea of success. And the reason you don't do it is because somebody says something that didn't exactly agree with your vision of how they should feel about what you do. You care too much. You don't want that success enough to disregard that. Somebody is active duty right now in uniform, joined the Navy, said, I want to be successful, have painted the ride of success, has every opportunity to be successful. And you know what they're doing right now? They kicking it with their homies because it's more fun. They're going to be looked at stupid if they go get a college education. Or if I do everything Chief say, I'm going to be looking at as a do-good. They care too much. Yeah. Why did you join? Why are you here? Do the thing. Do the thing. Be successful.
Yeah, as a chief, one of my CMCs had to stop me from getting caught up in that. You know, like another chief had said something, Damo always wanted, and my CMC was like, man, dude, like, you ever just thought somebody was just hating on you?
All the time.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, let me do it. He was like, do the shit, man. Like, don't let nobody slow you down, man.
Why are you worried about it?
Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
So what would you say to, because like in the world of social media right now, and information is just out there. I think we had talked about it on the pod before, where it's like there's so many ways for, you know, these people coming out of high school or in college to learn how to make money. And so they're kind of looking at the military like, I ain't trying to go to the military where I'm gonna have to like listen to somebody. I got to report to somebody, you know, the Navy owns me and all of this stuff. What would you say to that person who is looking at social media and is like, I feel like with this information, they gonna teach me how to get rich quick versus going into the military? How do you sell that?
I love it. If it's going to work and you're going to get rich quick, why are you not rich now? What are you doing? What are you doing right now? Why are you not rich now? Why are you not rich in the 11th grade? Why are you waiting till you get out of high school to get rich? If it's that easy, why have you not put in the work? Why have you not put in the effort and the reps? If I'm not saying the success isn't out there, I'm saying that type of success comes with hard work. You got to do the work. Being an influencer ain't easy. You got to put in the work. You got to really learn on the fly. You got to adjust to what your audience is doing. You got to put out engaging content. You got to work. You got to do the thing. And so half these kids don't want to do the thing. Yeah. They're in love with the idea of being a thing, but they don't want to put the work in to do the thing. And why would I tell a person to join the military? Why? Because you're going to get used to doing a lot of things you don't feel like doing. And eventually you'll come back around to this idea of being an influencer. You're going to do the things you don't want to do with the same vigor that you're going to do the things you want to do. You're going to be a more successful influencer having the discipline of a military member than you will being a guy who's just dreaming and not getting off the couch. If you're going to be successful and get rich quick, then why are you not rich now? Why are you not successful right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you get a better kind of understanding of like presentation too. I think like your experience in the military give you a better understanding of like most people I know in the military, like if they start designing clothes, right? They got the tag is the logo. They got like the whole thing is it, like, you know, doing a podcast, like you know, let's get the logo first. Let's do this for like, it's just you like, you know, you start at a better place and your visual is a little better than somebody who just trying to get it right, just trying to, because you have standards, right? You got things like for me, like a MRC, right? It's like maintenance requirement card from start to stop. It's from start to stop, right? So it's like, all right, so now it's like when I'm building a podcast now, all right, what's our line by line? What's our procedure? Like we got notes, we got this, we got study. Let's format this. You learn formatting. You learn like all the little standard things that we learn when we communicate with people, like email etiquette, stuff like that. All of that stuff carries over outside of the military. Like all of it, the relationship stuff. A lot of us go places, and like one of my brother-in-law told me this. He was like, it was a period in time where like like a military vet or ex-military meant a whole lot when it came to competition in any field. You know, whether that was a political field or that was like TV or wherever, it was like, yo, this person was an ex-Marine or this person was ex-Navy. You know, that meant something. It meant like they had a different presentation, you know?
Yeah, it does.
I think I'm a hater. I'm a hater on a very specific type of person, man. I'm a hater on a finna dude. I hate a finna dude, man. I hate a finna dude, man. It's the dude you just bought a new car and they're like, man, I'm finna get me a new car too, man. I hate that dude. I hate that dude that you go to college, get your degree, like, hey man, yeah, I'm finna get this new job too, man, and get my stuff up. They always finna do something, but they never do the thing. And so because I dislike that so much, I try to look for it in myself and stop myself from being a finna dude. And back to your original idea, if a person is looking at there's so much opportunity on the internet out here in these streets, why are you finna do it? And why are you not doing it? Yeah. Why are you not doing it? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Don't even got a YouTube page. Don't even got a damn page.
Right.
You know, why you ain't got
just do it?
You know how to edit TikTok? You know how to, you know how like, no, I don't do none of this shit.
They like just waiting for that one video to go viral.
Yeah. Waiting for some time to do something, right?
I'm waiting until I graduate high school before I could start learning how to do this thing. But I'm gonna play this video game for the next 2.5 years, or are not having original spin to the idea. In the 90s, right? We talked about the 90s earlier. In the 90s, it didn't matter what you did.
you had to have an original spin, like something you had to add. You know how many Pop the Balloon videos I've seen nowadays that look just like Arlett's? Like they got the stage set up just like you literally
Copycat
just
culture.
stole Arlett's. And I don't know if Arlette was the first one, but I'm referencing her. Maybe it was somebody else, but you literally just stole Arlette's idea and you're doing the same thing. You know, you stole DJ Academic's idea. You doing the same thing. You stole Kai Cenat's idea, and you didn't change no part of it. Like nothing is different.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't. We're not from that era. You know what I mean? Where like you had to find and a lot of times where like some of these people of this era, when they do add something special, a lot of times that shit take off.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, damn, they doing that a little different than the last person that did it. Like I saw somebody do a Pop the Balloon, but it was like 60 and up. Man,
I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, 60 and up Pop the Balloon.
Right.
That's different. You know what I mean? That's fire. You know what I mean? It's not like the other ones. I might watch more of these.
Yeah.
Don't
You know
they
what I
have
mean?
like glitter? They have like glitter when they pop the balloon, or is it just the balloon just pop?
It's just a
the
red
ones I
balloon.
saw. Yeah, the ones I saw is just a balloon.
Okay, just a red balloon.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a balloon.
Yeah.
I got what's up?
I was just making sure like it didn't do nothing crazy like dust coming out of the
it's
60-year-old
no.
balloon
It's
or
balloon.
nothing like that. Okay.
So you familiar with our Do Better segment, right?
I seen it a couple of times. I saw Dez's.
Yeah.
But let's go.
so-
Give it to me real quick. I'm gonna figure out.
Yeah, so the Do Better segment is just pretty much something that we picked or figured out that, you know, needs to be better, right? Something that needs to do better. So that could be like something in the Navy, something about us personally, something in society. And then we always just ask each other like, hey, what's your do better, right? So I'm going to ask you, Siri, what's your do better?
My do better is a lesson that I learned in the Navy and is applicable inside the Navy and outside the Navy. And I really feel can't wait to read these comment sections, see if I'm lying again. But do better is no one is coming to save you. Period. Don't sit around thinking, hey, somebody should do something great about this school. Somebody should make this division better. Somebody should join a PTA and make sure these kids are learning what they need to do. Nobody is coming to save you. Do better. Do the thing. Be the savior that you need. If you're the visionary and you have the vision, show the world your vision by doing the thing. No one's coming to save you, bro. You got to save yourself. We got to be the heroes. We got to be the heroes that we expect to come out here.
Yeah.
Do better.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's
Save
deep.
yourself.
Save yourself.
I
think that's
recorded
the
one
name.
album in my life, and that was the name of it.
Save yourself.
Dang.
Yeah, that's the name.
Save
I
yourself.
recorded one album in my life. It's called Save Yourself. Yeah.
Oh, that's fire.
It's a concept. It was like a concept album too. It was like, yeah, it was a concept album. It's pretty good actually. Question for you. This is my last question I got like in my thoughts. And then we could probably like kind of freestyle some stuff if we can, if there's anything we missed. You got a book recommendation?
Damn, I hate that you asked me that right now. I read a lot of books right now. For the military people, Work the System. Work the System is a good book. That would be the best one I recommend. Why is that book important? If you were thinking, why would I read this book called Work the System? Sound like I'm cheating something. I think in the military, we do this thing called firefighting a lot, and the book talks about that. I did it when I was a chief. I did it when I was a department head, and it's silly, right? Like, there would be a problem, and then I would race over to the problem. I try to fix the problem really quick. The problem would get fixed. I feel good about myself after the problem's fixed. I go back to my desk, and then a couple weeks later, I have the same problem, and then I'm mad. I'm like, damn, why am I dealing with this again? Right? That's firefighting. It's when you run over to a problem, you try to put it out real quick. This book talks about how to avoid that. And many times over in the military, our policies are broken. Our processes are broken. And most of the things that we can do is a process. So if we don't have a process, we got to make the process. And then if it doesn't work, we got to refine the process. We got to fix the parts of the process that are broken. This book walks you through how to do that and stop becoming a firefighter so that you have a team of people who stop fires before they even start. Work the System teaches you how to just change your thinking, you know, and it'll make your life a lot better. If you a chief and you in a division somewhere and you just frustrated why, you know, somebody can't get right, you a department head in a squadron trying to figure out why somebody can't get right, read that book. I promise you by the time you get to the end of the book, you're going to laugh at yourself. I know I did.
And that's Work the System by Sam Carpenter.
Look at your face. Yes.
Yeah. I'm ready for it too. I want to get it. I want to get the book. I'm gonna read it. I want to get it. I'm gonna read it. It sounds.
Hey, check
good.
back in with me. Let me know what you think when you finish reading it.
Yeah,
I want to know. Like, I just check back in with me, like Instagram or something. Like just
man,
you know,
come
I know
here,
y'all
man.
famous
Look,
and stuff.
You got an open invite, man. You come here anytime you want. You know, like you know, that's good. Like that, like us, kind of like when we started talking about the tech expert. Like we don't like have like a lot of people don't come on and we had those kind of conversations. So definitely like come on, man. As many times, like look, can I come? Come, you be like a host a pod with us. Damon, Damon ain't here all the time, you know.
Right.
I shout out to Paul Kingsbury too, because he's coming back on at some point to guest host with us too. We gonna start doing guest hosts like when Jess Hilarious had the
right
baby.
when
Hey,
we
people
should.
on for a little bit.
I know that's true.
You let me know. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
come through, man.
Yeah.
But in our conversation though, is it anything that like that's super duper important that we did not hit?
There are so many things that I wanted to talk about that I don't think we got to, but
Was that a fail?
nothing. No, it was a win because I just enjoyed the conversation, man. It just flowed, man. It just flowed.
Yeah.
Nah, man. I just
it was one thing that
I just think
It
I
was
think
one
that
thing.
people just gotta take their own limitations off themselves and.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
That's
just remove that. Just like stop telling yourself no. I think we covered that a couple times. Just stop telling yourself no.
Yeah.
Like look at something impossible and do it. And fail, hit a brick wall hard, but just make sure you fell forward. I think I used to say that to people. Fail forward. Like pick something that you want to be, and then take a huge step in that direction. That's scary, and just do it. And you'll be surprised at how far you actually get. Before you know it, you look back and you're like, I'm further along than I thought I could make it.
Right.
Fail forward.
It was one thing you said though that connected with me before we started, and it was about identity, right? And I talk to sellers about this. I just got finished talking to one of my sellers about it all the time, like who I am as a person, right? My identity. A creative. I'm a creative. I've like started my life. I was doing artwork, right? Like drawing pictures. Then I moved on and I made music. Then I went to film school and I did film. And then I went to my commands as a khaki senior leader or whatever. And I started like poetry clubs and I did things that had to do with art. Now in this space and time I'm in, I'm currently at work. I'm actually out and I'm moonlighting as a podcaster, right? So I'm still doing something that got to do with being creative. So, and I'm me. I'm 100% me. I don't have a different identity than the identity that I have when I'm at work. I'm the same person, right? I'm unapologetically myself. And I tell my sellers that, like, you don't, and it took me a while to get, when I was making music, I wasn't comfortable as that. It was almost like two different worlds. You know what I mean? And I tell my, and that kind of made music hard. You know, that made music hard because my subject matter, if we talk about the music I made, it was like reality based music, right? But my reality was like, I'm doing cleaning stations, you know? So now like I'm digging 10 years back, you know? My life is way too different now, and I'm way too old to be able to write the kind of music that I was writing 15 years ago when I was still referencing like things that happened in Philly as a 15-year-old, you know? So, but that was a good point you hit, and I kind of want you to hit it because I don't want us to miss that one about how you don't have to like not be you, or you don't have to like tuck a certain part of your identity to succeed in the Navy, you know? So I just wanted to hear from you on that.
I just am a strong believer that, we all join the Navy to improve our lives. We want to be something bigger and better, and it's weird how we all get in the Navy and then we try to bring back this identity from who we used to be, in this place that we wanted to be a new version of ourselves. And sometimes people get lost in the competitive side of that and trying to be from the hardest city or this other thing. And so you want it to be a new person, right? You want it to be something bigger, better than maybe you were before. And we don't sometimes embrace that. And I think that we have so much opportunity when your basic needs are met. When I know where my meal's coming from, I know I got a roof over my head, I know I'm comfortable, I know I'm safe. You have so much opportunity to be something bigger. You talked about making music. You probably had every piece of music equipment you needed to make that music. And in your occupation, you have every piece of equipment you need to do a podcast. I have every piece of equipment I need to do a video. You know what I'm saying? And all those other things. And your identity doesn't have to be like 80% Navy, 20% everything else. You can be a sailor who is creative. That's okay. You could be, I could be a guy who is in the Navy as an aviator, and I can also be in a fraternity and do a whole bunch of community service. I can also try to be a social media influencer. You know what I'm saying? Your identity can be so much more. It doesn't have to just be 100% Navy. Like you can, it's okay to dream a little bit. It's okay to work through some of those other pieces and remember that, because you're going to be around a bunch of people that this is their whole identity, man. When the Navy disappears and they retire and that job's over, it's depressing sight. It's a depressing sight.
Yeah.
But I want to be something bigger than that. I want to have an active relationship with my family. I want to be a great husband. I want to be creative while I still have the ability to, use a camera and walk back and forth to it 16 times to get the angle right. Yeah. While, it's still okay to, put on clothes and be on Instagram or whatever the case may be. You have an identity. You got to be yourself. You spent all this time defending freedom, defending democracy, sacrificing on deployment, spending a whole bunch of time away from your family, and you're not even going to take the time to enjoy some of those liberties that you help protect. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to say this from the bottom of my heart. This was amazing. This has been an amazing 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Do you need a hug? You good?
I'm good. I'm about to go watch Mike and Jake.
Okay. All right.
This was
no hug.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No hug.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for coming and kicking it with us for a couple hours, and with the amazing lighting you got over there. You know what I mean? But this was really good. I appreciate it. It's gonna be fun. It's one of my favorite episodes that we did this year.
I'm trying to grow a page, y'all. I'm trying to grow a page, and part of that is doing things like this where I get the opportunity to sit down and chat with people, man. So, I'm over at King Siri 06. If you want to send some people my direction just to check in on me and see more of this craziness and this awesome lighting, I'd be really excited to chat with people and give them some real down to earth conversation, man. I love this Navy thing, but I'm not gonna, pull punches. It's a dope job. I love it, and there's some learning we all could do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, if the McPon want to hit you up, what's your email?
Yeah, please, McPon, hit me up. King Siri 06, hit me on. I'll move you from general to primary. We'll be all right. Hit me up, McPon. Let's talk about it. If the McPon hit me up, I'm having a podcast with the McPon. I'm supposed to be doing a podcast for my job, man. The McPon hit me up when I had a conversation. I would he'll be my first freaking podcast guest in my official capacity over at the job. No, I mean, he can though. I don't bite. Yeah. I don't bite. I could get educated. You know what I mean? Like,
because he might be better at explaining that shit than I am.
Yeah. We might have misquoted. We might have misquoted the McPon.
I can read. I can grab it. It's gonna be crazy. You're gonna be like, yeah, you had it. Like I can. Hey, that's it. What you got? You got anything, Tish?
No, I'm good. Thank you for coming out. Like, this was really dope. Great conversation. Very open. You speaking freely, and your personality and your perception. I love having officers on here that are down to earth, because everybody's perception of officers are just like, they're square, and they only are Joe Navy. To have somebody up here that's gonna keep it real.
Let me tell the Chiefs met something, y'all. I'm gonna tell the Chiefs and the Junior Sellers, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all too. The officers are killing y'all. Yeah,
because they on here.
Hold on. You can't come for the Junior Enlisted like that. They got a lot to lose.
Junior Enlisted, y'all. Holla at us. The officers on here killing.
They coming
y'all.
On.
We love
coming
y'all.
on.
We love the Junior Enlisted. That's why we do the pod. Come on here, y'all. If y'all need us to talk to your chain of command first and make sure everything good, let me know. I talk to your chain of command. I say we're gonna take good care of you. We ain't gonna let you look stupid. We ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. We will not let no harm come to you, young sailors.
But no sailors were harmed during the filming of this production.
That's what I was thinking.
And we had great episodes with every junior seller that we had, but it just seemed like and every chief and stuff too. But for the chiefs, especially y'all come on here, man, and give it up, because these officers is on here, and they Yeah, we having some good
Yeah.
conversations.
But you know
off.
what? It's not fair. It's not fair. I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry. I know we're trying to end it so we can watch Mike Tyson beat up on Jake Paul. But I think it's not fair because I think at least when I'm realizing from the officer side of the house, you get to a point in your career where you just really want to give back. Right?
Yeah.
Like right about that 04, 05 level when you like looking at the door, you like, you know, your impact is about to come to an end. You want to give back. So you're looking for every opportunity to give back. Me with 27 years plus, man, all I want to do is people to win. So, you know, a junior person coming in, it's like, man, I'm just trying to keep my career. I don't even know if I'll make it to 20.
Yeah.
They ain't at that give it back phase yet. So that might be part of it. But if
I'm just joking. I'm
They
trying to
scared.
instigate. I'm trying to
They
instigate.
scared.
oh, that's what we was doing. We was instigating.
Yeah, I
They
just
we was
wanna
scared.
instigate. Yeah, y'all-
Hey, remember
yeah,
that commercial? Remember that commercial from back in the day where the guy was telling me, hey, you on the couch, you ain't doing nothing. You need to get off the couch, come on the podcast. You're smoking 16 Black and Miles a day. You and your baby mama, you need to come on the podcast, man. Get your stuff together.
And give
come
it
on the
up.
podcast.
Give it
and
up.
give it up on the podcast. That's how you
man.
instigate.
Yeah,
that's how you
yeah.
instigate.
Yeah.
You got to get them angry enough to get on the podcast. We gonna secure your liberty until you get on the podcast. That's how you get them.
Yeah,
That's how you
they
get them to
come
show
right
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
That's dope.
Peace out. Love y'all.
All right, big
Holla.
dog.
Till next time.